A beautiful Tuesday on tap today. Bill Michaels Show. We're glad to be here. I'm Bill Michaels. He's Grant Bills, producing the program. And if you want to get a hold of the show, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You can find us there. Always appreciate it when you do. That's the phone number if you want your voice to be heard. Brewers in Philadelphia getting ready to take on the Phillies in a 3-game series. We talked about this yesterday. The next 12, pretty big for the Brewers. You got 3 against the Phillies. You got Atlanta, Cincinnati, then Atlanta. And but you're going to have to do it without Wade Miley. A blow to lose Miley to the 15-day IL, and you hope that's all it is. He had soreness in his elbow. And you can get soreness. You can get like a lat muscle. That can be sore. Thigh muscle. That can be sore. That's okay. Pitchers, yeah, no problem. You can come back from that. Sore elbow midway through the season. That's not good. I don't care who you are. That's not good. Grant, how you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. You mentioned Wade Miley's injury. I'm a little bummed for our friend Ben Kenny because he got tickets, I think, based on what he tweeted, specifically to go see Wade Miley pitch against his Phillies, and now he's going to see Jansen Junk or Jason Alexander, whoever. Yeah. So that's a bummer.
Because I had said that the X factor in this season, should he remain healthy, would be Wade Miley. Who knew that he would be that important of a player, considering Woodruff goes down and Burns got off to a rather inauspicious start? And so, who knew that he would be that big of linchpin at this point in the season? And now you're down to your top 2, which is Burns and Peralta. Don't get me wrong, that's good, because many teams don't have 2 really good starters, much less 1 really good starter. But the Brewers had 4, and now they are down to 2. So not what you wanted to wake up with or go to bed with last night. I saw that news broke yesterday afternoon as we were getting as we were getting off the air, I think was when that started across, or was that just before we got off the air?
Sometime in the middle of the afternoon yesterday. It was a bummer. It's been really fun to watch Wade Miley pitch, so it's a bummer that he can't go. Not just for Ben.
And he's pitching, when you look at, he's got an ERA just over 3. When you look at the way he's pitching and what he's been able to do when he's been healthy, he's pitching the way he did a couple of years ago when he was back for the Cubs. And that I kept saying, if he can just return to that and not go to the IL, that would be fantastic. And now this is his 2nd stint this season on the IL. So they are in need of a pitcher. Hopefully they can fill the bill in the meantime for the next couple of weeks. And, we're sitting here on the 18th of July. They're talking about the end of July to possibly, if Woodruff can go to the hill and start throwing and do it without pain, and maybe they can, get him back maybe at the beginning of August, the first 2 weeks of August, if they can, again, I'm talking about this team just holding on. If they can do that, then, all of a sudden the cavalry comes riding over the hill with 2 more arms. It's like, wow, then they've survived. It seems like just every time you start to breathe, this team ends up with another injury. Doesn't it? It just keeps coming. It's like body blow after body blow after body blow. And you keep waiting for that big roundhouse to the chin that just knocks you out. What would happen? 2 things you can't afford right now: Burns and Yelich to go down. Those 2 guys. Those 2 guys go down. Pretty much all is lost for the world.
It's interesting to think about an alternate reality, Bill, today. What would the Brewers' record be? What would we think of the Brewers if Garrett Mitchell had been healthy the whole year? If Brandon Woodruff, Aaron Ashby had been healthy the whole year? Would their record be, 7-8 games better? Would we be talking about them? We got to go for it. We got to make trades. And instead we're kind of in this awkward middle ground because of these injuries.
At least here in the area, in the Milwaukee area, it is just in listening to radio yesterday as I was out driving around and this morning. Most are of the essence of we're going for it. Matt Arnold has specifically said we're not taking trade offers for Corbin Burns. Corbin Burns has said, I am not going anywhere. They learned their lesson from last year. We want to win. It seems like this team has geared itself up for what is going to be a stretch run. And just depending on what Matt Arnold's magic is able to become, whatever, fairy dust he sprinkles, to be able to come up with another bat of some type. And here's the other thing. I'm listening this morning, and I was listening on Sirius and the MLB channel, and they were talking about Rowdy Tellez. and the outfield wall and why he's shagging fly balls and all that kind of stuff. And I get it. Okay. That's kind of crazy. I mean, I know that, teams do certain things, certain drills. Guys like to be out there to take away everybody likes to jump against the wall and take away a home run and all that kind of stuff. I get it. But when it came to Rowdy Tellez, they're talking about the detriment of losing Rowdy and how the Brewers are down with a big bat. And I'm thinking to myself, is anybody other than the name Rowdy Tellez and what he's done in the past, has anybody paid attention to what he's done this season, which is not much? Am I missing something? Is this a massive detriment? I mean, don't get me wrong. If Rowdy Tellez can't come back, and he's injured, it's not like they're trading him away. Not like he's some clubhouse favorite that gets traded away because, for whatever reason. But is this team really that now hamstrung because Rowdy Tellez, a one-tool player and maybe half a tool player at that, hurt his finger? Am I missing something here, Grant? Is Rowdy Tellez that important to the well-being of the Milwaukee Brewers?
Well, I think that just speaks to how thin the margin for error for this team is, right? Like the Brewers were kind of banking on Rowdy Tellez in the second half of the season to get it going because everyone assumed, well, he can't be as bad in half number 2. Now we won't even know. Now we won't know if he's going to bounce back and improve. And I think a lot of teams, Bill, they can lose a middling bat for a couple of weeks. It's not a big deal. This Brewers team really doesn't have that luxury.
It just, I'm listening to people talk. I was listening on MLB. I heard a couple of conversations here in the Milwaukee area. And it's, oh my God, Rowdy, when's he going to come back? Man, they need him. And I'm thinking, what, other than maybe the threat in the lineup of being a big bat of what he once was. But this year, he's not doing anything that's going to make you impressive and go, wow, boy, that was a huge loss. It's not like you lost a Gold Glover. You didn't lose a base stealer. He's not some kind of second to home base hit wheels guy. Yeah, he's not hitting the ball that well. He's not hitting for power. I don't know what you're losing. So, I mean, I don't mean to downplay Rowdy Tellez. He's a great guy. I like the guy. But in the grand world of results-based, effort here, there's not a lot of results. There's just a lot of kind of like pedaling in motion, but there's nothing. You're not going anywhere. So anyway, that was one of those things that I was scratching my head over this morning. This one is from Jason, who's right out of the chute says, oh my God, what a blow this morning to find out Wade Miley has now gone down as well. How many more punches can this team take? No wonder Craig Counsell is refusing to come back as the general manager. It's not general manager, but he says general manager of the Milwaukee Brewers. No, he's the manager of the Brewers. Matt Arnold's the general manager, first of all. Second of all, I don't think he's necessarily refusing. I don't see that. But I mean, it's really well known that this is, I pretty much know it's up to Craig on this. I think there was a decision to be made. Craig wanted to take some time and evaluate things after the season. I think he's evaluating family life. He's a hell of a manager. Nobody's going to dispute that for what he's been able to accomplish and what he's gotten out of a team that has been, for lack of a better term, hamstrung cash-wise because of market size. But beyond that, I mean, it's Craig's decision. It's not like he's not refusing. He's just, I think, can anybody, when you start playing baseball as a kid, you start playing at, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9, somewhere in there. You get kind of good at it. And then along comes, high school ball, and you really, you're involved in it. It's what you're doing. And Craig's not a big dude, so he's not playing football, right? He's not playing a ton of basketball unless he's a point guard. So he's, doing his thing. And so you do it from the age of 6 or 7 and all the way up through high school. High school, you're playing, and now you're playing pretty well. Colleges are looking at you. So now all of a sudden you're going to go, whoa, wait a minute. I've got a career here. I'm heading off to college. And then you get into college, and then suddenly you get drafted. You get drafted, and suddenly you're playing in the pros, and that's your job, and you're getting paid for it. And you're doing it your entire career. And the guy's in his 40s, and he's all of a sudden going, wait a minute, for the last, 32 years, this is all I've done. And oh, by the way, I've got a wife, I've got kids, I really haven't seen them do much of what I did as a kid. As a father, I haven't seen my kids grow up because I'm on the road all the time and I'm doing stuff at the ballpark all the time. And it's a great living and we've got a comfortable life, but I'm missing out on certain things. And now my kids are going off to college and they're playing ball and I want to see them do and maybe walk in my footsteps. I want to see them do what I did. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. It as far as being a Brewers fan, yeah, it kind of sucks. But as far as being Craig Counsell, I get it. You know, you probably you're looking at things going, I don't know what else I can possibly do for this franchise short of winning a World Series, but I just don't think we have the horses to do it. You know, if I knew we were coming back and they were going to pay Burns and they were going to pay Woodruff and they had Peralta locked up and they had Miley here for another year, we were going to go out and get a couple bats, a legit first baseman. Everybody was going to be pretty much healthy next year. Adames just had a bad year offensively at the plate, so he's going to bounce back not only with power numbers, but with more on-base percentage, and he was going to be better. We were going to fix all of the holes that we have, and they were going to spend some additional money and, oh, by the way, pay me. And we knew we were loading up to go against the Dodgers and the Braves and the Padres and the Giants and the Diamondbacks and all these other teams, and we were going to beat the hell out of the Cardinals and the Cubs, and we're on our way to a World Series. Maybe he'd come back. But how much more can a guy do? 877. Go ahead.
Sorry, Bill. I just think he probably wants to keep his options open too. Maybe he gets to the end of the season and realizes he wants to come back. Or maybe he says, I'll take a couple years off. I'll go watch my kid play baseball in college. And then in a few years, if I want to come back to managing, that'll probably always be an option for him somewhere. Maybe not with the Brewers, but somewhere. I could also see him taking a less stressful, a less time-consuming job in the front office. Or maybe he wants to go work for the league. I just think Craig Counsell could do basically whatever he wants the next 5-10 years of his life. So he's probably just trying to keep his options open.
He's not an old dude. It's first of all, Craig Counsell still looks like he's 12. So he's never going to like age to some, decrepit old guy in the next 5 to 10 years. At least we hope not. So he could still come back and do what he wants to do. He's still going to be sought after. He's still going to be a consultant. He can still do certain things. Hell, he can become a college scout if he's going to start traveling around with the kids to watch different baseball players. But I don't know if he's leaving. I don't know if he's staying. It's going to be up to him. It's going to be what he wants to do. It's not like Mark Antanasio is holding out and he's not going to give him a contract because he's going to wait and see how this year goes before he pays him again. Because if that were the case, if that was true, I think that would be probably the final straw for a lot of people regarding Mark Antanasio. Because you took a guy that wants to win more than anything, has done anything and everything the organizations wanted him to do. He took over the team when he really didn't want to take over the team. But they felt, hey, you'd be a really good manager. You got a great mind. And so he did. And then he takes him to an NLCS. He's a game away from getting to a World Series. The horses didn't come through. And then since then, it's been, let's get rid of this player. Let's get rid of that player because we don't want to spend the money. We can't afford it. Okay. So you're just basically saying that you're going to grow the talent. And once the talent gets of age, gone. That's, as a manager, you're pounding your head against the wall, hoping to break through bricks. You're going to end up with a lot of bloody noses before you finally crack something. And it may not be the wall. It's probably going to be your skull. And maybe he's looking at it going, I don't know if I can go any farther with this team. I had a lot of hopes for the franchise, but unless we really suck for a long period of time and we get all these high draft choices that are really, really high end quality, we're not going to go out and spend a lot of money kind of, filling in the pieces with terrific free agents. We're going to go out and try to find the controllable guys and catch lightning in a bottle. And we're going to take the 240 hitters and hope that they end up 260 here. And we're going to hope and pray. And everybody's going to say novenas on Sunday. And we're all going to head off to church before we go to the ballpark. And we're just going to enjoy our brats, hot dogs, beers, and cheese. And that's all we're going to do. Because I don't think we're ever really going to be competitive to win a championship. That could be what he's looking down the barrel of. Who knows? Let's do this. We'll step out. We'll take a quick break. Yes, for those just tuning in, Wade Miley, a sore elbow, and he is now on the 15-day IL. So we'll wait and see how he does. This portion of our program is brought to you by our good friends over there at Northern Lights Photo and Event Studio, the Northern Lights Event Center. Northern Lights event venue is fantastic. We've talked about this time and again, and we did a show down there just before we ended up taking off. But if you're looking for a Wednesday night thing to do, if you want to go down there, just enjoy a little, guitar music out there on the patio, on the walkway, you can get yourself a fine beverage. It's right next to the Screaming Tuna on the Milwaukee riverfront. Otherwise, there's dinners, there's weddings, there's photo shoots, business events. They're hosting it all. Go to northernlightseventvenue.com. northernlightseventvenue.com. Again, northernlightseventvenue.com, and take a look at it. Beautiful, beautiful place.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome to Pella.
Hi, it's come to my attention. I need new windows.
You do?
Hey, sweetie, what's this?
My art project?
Honey, it's rotten. We need to toss it.
Then why do we have to keep our rotten windows, Dad?
Well, you came to the right place. Pella has a limited lifetime warranty on our wood windows, so this doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Got a really nice note from a couple that came into town. They listened to the program. They came in for the Harley Davidson event this past weekend, and they were from actually Minneapolis. And they had sent me a note saying that they went down to Calderon Club and got the Italian and the meatballs, by the way, but got the penny pasta, and said I wasn't lying. It was fantastic. Gino's such a gentleman, on and on and on. But I've talked about it for a long time. If you're looking for the best Italian food anywhere, 838 Old World 3rd Street, downtown Milwaukee. And Gino and his staff are absolutely second to none. They're top-notch people. San Giorgio, the pizzeria Napolitana next door, an authentic, certified VPN pizza. Absolutely awesome next door. But either place you can't go wrong. Great Italian food. Downtown Milwaukee. Calderon Club, San Giorgio Pizzeria, 838 Old World 3rd Street, downtown Milwaukee. And make sure you tell them we sent you, by all means. Todd says, typical Brewers, it's been the same for 4 decades. Players come of age, then they go. We need an owner that wants to win, which has been the argument for a long time. When you say want to win, what do you mean? You mean just spending money? Because we've gone through this time and again. When you talk about the finances of Major League Baseball, and you look at some of the teams that right now are winning in Major League Baseball, and you look at team payrolls, and the Mets, they're not winning. The Yankees, they're not winning. The Padres, they're not winning. The Phillies, they're not winning. The Dodgers have just now climbed back into contention and back on top out west at number 5. You've got the Angels, they're not winning. The Blue Jays, they're not winning. Then the Braves. So only 2 teams out of the top 8 are winning their division. Then you got the Rangers, who are winning their division. The Astros are not. They're top 10. The Giants are not. The White Sox are not. The Cubs are not. The Red Sox are not. The Rockies, the Cardinals. You go on from there. All those teams are above Milwaukee. Milwaukee, number 20. And then you look at a team like, say, Cincinnati, who's been battling with them. Cincinnati's 25th. Tampa Bay, who's got one of the best records in all of baseball, the 27th payroll. And I say it time and again, over and over. Baltimore had that 8-game win streak going. They're 29th in baseball and 2nd in the American League East at $67 million. 67. Now think about that. Total $143 million. That's it between Tampa Bay and Baltimore combined. $143 million. Think about that for a minute. The Yankees are $279 million. Think about that. Boston is $183 million. So those 2 teams combined in that division don't equal what some of the other teams in that division equal when it comes to money expenditures. Those 2 teams combined are number 1 and number 2. So I don't necessarily think it's all about an owner wanting to win, but sometimes it's about whether or not you pull the trigger at the right time and who you spend it on. I will say this. When you constantly bypass better talent because of money and you're constantly looking for the diamond in the rough, you will fail as much as you succeed. And that's not necessarily a great recipe for constant success. Let's go to Pete, listening to us in Appleton. Pete, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Hey, Bill, how you been?
Good. What's happening?
Okay, so the whole Craig Counsell thing and not wanting to come back. Now, I don't begrudge him in any way, shape, or form. Let me get that out right away, okay?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, when guys say, "Oh, I wanna maybe not do this anymore because I want to spend time with my family," do you know who gets to say that? People that have lots of money, because those are the only people that can afford to retire when they're in their 40s and spend all this time with their families. I mean, I understand it, but come on, man. You know, I miss so much stuff when my kids were growing up because, you know what, I had to work, and I figured that we'd rather have someplace to live than be in our car.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to choose, and I know he doesn't have to do that. I get that. So for him, it's an easy choice. It just drives me nuts when they use that as an excuse. Just say, look, you know what? I don't really necessarily know if I want to do this anymore, but it does kind of drive me nuts when they always say, well, I want to spend time. Aren't his kids going to college this year?
Yeah,
I mean,
and they're playing
ball. Is he going to be able to go to their games anyways? Yeah, I mean, it depends on where they go to college because there's a couple of good programs in Wisconsin,
mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure which ones his kids are going to go to. So is he going to go there for every game? I mean, is that what he's going to do?
I don't know. We'd have to get all the details from him. But let me ask you this: if you had tens of millions of dollars in your account and your kids were growing up, and you had the ability to retire and go watch your kids, would you do it?
Well, yeah, and that's what I said. I don't begrudge him for doing it.
Right. Okay.
But I also would just say, you know what? I got tens of millions of dollars in my account. I'm retiring. I don't need this.
Right.
So, you know, I just my point is, I just hate the fact that they always throw out I want to spend more time with my family, because you know what always happens? And it's happened numerous times where these guys come back and go, you know what? I didn't think it was going to be like that. Now I miss this. And now I want to be back in the game, because the guy that's managing the Rangers right now, why can't I think of his name? The Giants ex-manager. I mean, he did kind of the same thing. He had all the issues where he thought he was having health problems, so he retired. You know, he wasn't going to do it anymore. Now he's back managing again. Yeah. I mean, it always happens.
Right.
So, and you know what? One more thing, Bill, and then I'll let you go.
Sure.
But the people that complain and saying about, you know, they don't want to win in Milwaukee, they want to win. The economics are just never going to allow them to spend the kind of money that the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, or any of those teams do. It's never. I remember back in the day when they signed Robin Yount. Robin Yount was one of the highest paid players in baseball. I mean, it was an unheard of deal that Robin Yount got when he got one of his contracts. So when the economics allowed it, the Brewers did it. It's just that the economics do not allow it.
Right.
So there's nothing you're going to do about that.
I get it.
So that's all I got for you today, Bill.
No, I appreciate it. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Council's one son is going to Michigan. Correct.
Jack's going to Michigan.
Yeah.
Yep. And begs the question, Bill, is Wisconsin, UW-Madison's lack of a baseball program costing the Brewers their manager?
Oh,
maybe
boy.
if
that's
Jack was playing in the state.
Other topic for another day, isn't it? But, you know, I mean, you look at a place like UWM, they've got a baseball program, but Michigan's certainly Big Ten. But it's not like he's traveling to LSU, Florida, Alabama, Texas, a lot of those schools that have been, you know, prolific when it comes to baseball programs in the South. You know, he's going to Michigan. You know, he's sticking in the Big Ten, and Michigan's got a decent program. Don't get me wrong, but that's going to spark the whole conversation of should Wisconsin bring baseball back when it comes to losing their manager because he can't drive down the road and go see his son play. But then again, I mean, it doesn't matter. Even if say he was, you know, his son was here in Wisconsin. Craig still would probably have to travel to Madison unless he lived in Madison, and then you're traveling every day to Miller Park or American Family Field. So I don't know, and some say that, you know, hey, he's going to play at Michigan for a year or two, and then as soon as they end up getting Notre Dame in the Big Ten, then he'll go to Notre Dame. So we'll see. The one thing, and the caller had good points, but my question is, what do you want him to do? So after all of that, ultimately, what you're saying is you want him to stay and just shut up? Or are you saying that he needs to make a decision and just say, okay, I'm done? I mean, to me, if you've got, you know, somebody of quality, you give them some time, you let them think about it, and then you tell them they got to make a decision. It's the same thing I said with Rodgers. Same thing. He's had great results. You want to see him come back. You like to see him come back, but you want his heart to be in it. You want his effort to be in it. You want him to be there. You want him to be joyous about it. You want him to be supportive. You don't want him to come back and badmouth and knock the organization, you know, and all that kind of stuff and backhanded slaps and all that different thing. You know, I get what he's saying. Yeah, rich people have the ability to say whether or not they want to do something or not. You have that ability. You have the ability then to say whether or not you even want to take a job or take on a customer that you may not like. You know, suppose I got a friend of mine who right now runs a dealership and he deals in high-end stuff. And he's got one customer that spends a ton of money, but is a ginormous pain in the ass. And rich people think that they can do what they want and say what they want because they got money. And people, you and I don't like it, but some people have to put up with it because of the amount of money they spend. Money buys you stupidity, arrogance, whatever else it happens to be. Not saying Greg Council's got that, but what I'm saying is money changes things. So yeah, certain guys in certain positions have the ability to say, you know what, I'll let you know at the end of the season. I got to see how I feel, and maybe he's also kind of holding his cards close to his vest to say, let's see if they actually do something. Let's see how we handle this season. Are we really trying to win, or am I just managing a lame duck team again? They're going to start selling off pieces. And oh, by the way, we drafted, we developed Corbin Burns, Brandon Woodruff. We got all these guys. We got these guys in a trade, and we wanted them, and we're rebuilding our system. And then just as we finally start to get good, the organization says, well, we're not going to pay you. So what are we doing? We're just spinning our wheels here. We're just a minor league system for big league markets. And maybe that's what he's feeling. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. If you want to find us, go ahead and do so. Please give us a shout. Going to go ahead and take a quick break. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. All coming up right after this.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Hearts of fire, streets of stone, modern warriors, satellite horses of chrome, taste the wild, lick the wind, like something never saw before, that tall dropping to the floor.
Good to have you back. Hey, thanks to our friends at Quick Trip. They are the official fuel provider for the Big Unit Cruiser. And I told you yesterday, boy, a lot of people came to town and just made Quick Trip their home. A lot of bikers that came into town looking for the breakfast sandwiches rather than going to the fast food restaurants. They were all stopping in a Quick Trip. I saw dozens and dozens. As a matter of fact, there was a big group that I shouldn't say used to, that came all 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, to Quick Trip right up the street from the house. And they all got the breakfast sandwiches. They all sat outside with a coffee, and they just kind of sat on the hill and ate. And then they went about their business after the fact. They just fell in love with Quick Trip and from out of town. And we just kind of sometimes take it for granted that it's right here in our own backyard. But Quick Trip, whether it's bread or milk or butter, eggs, bananas, the beer cave, you name it, they've got it. And they run some great promotions. Use your Quick Rewards card. You can go right to the Quick Trip Quick Rewards app and see everything that it is they have to offer. But man, oh man, thank God we got Quick Trip right here in our own backyard. If you want to chime in, 877-867-1670. We were talking some Brewers baseball before we went to break, and talking specifically about a little bit about Craig Counsell and about the team. I think the whole thing with Counsell in the end of the season, that'll play itself out. It's something that you have like in the back of your mind, but it's not anything right now that I believe, unless, of course, it becomes a disciplinary problem, something within the clubhouse where guys are no longer listening to him because they feel he's not coming back, or maybe somebody takes offense and says, hey, well, you're turning your back on us anyway. And that's the only time that this would then become an issue. And I just don't think that'll be an issue at all. So I look at this and I think, this is really, it doesn't have much bearing on what happens in the here and the now of this season. You would assume it doesn't. So the whole Craig Counsell thing I put to the side. The Wade Miley injury and the sore elbow and the 15-day IL and Woodruff being down and not being able to come back still as of yet, and the amount of injuries that this team has sustained, I think is probably more concerning than anything at this point. That's the thing that's going to derail the season. It's not going to be Craig Counsell whether or not he does or doesn't come back. But I do understand where people are kind of coming from and looking at it saying, hey, Craig, I think what fans want, Brewers fans want the same thing that Packers fans wanted. This is what people want. Okay. Just like when Giannis did it. And that's the reason everybody loves Giannis. He's good. Okay. He's a great player. He's got a lot of attention, superstar athlete, MVP, pride. Okay. But what Giannis did was, I want to be a Buck. He walked in to Calderon Club up in Fox Point. He had the front office staff sitting there. He said, you guys go and put the team around me, and I will make sure I win you a championship. I'm staying in Milwaukee. And everybody rejoiced. Everybody said, all right, that guy wants to win. He wants to be here. He's one of us. He loves us. We love him. There you have it. Everybody wanted Rodgers just to say, I'm back. I want to be here. I love this team. I love this organization. I love this franchise. I want to be one of you. I want to help win another championship because I know the fans deserve it. The franchise deserves it. I want to win one for my legacy. Everything short of coming out and saying, let's win this one for Bart Starr. Whatever. I mean, that's what people wanted. The hemming and hawing, everybody understands you got to take a little time to contemplate your future. But everybody wanted, I'm coming back because I want to be here and I love you guys and I'm going to take less money because I know what it means to the salary cap and I want to win. And people just want to hear that. And instead it was pay me all the money, going to do everything my way, bring my guys back. Let me be the GM. Let me call the plays. Let me do everything. And oh, by the way, I'm going to think about it in the darkness and I'm going to do all the other crap that goes along with that. And then finally, when I come out of this, screw you, I'm out of here. How dare you talk about me? I'm out of here. Nobody, that's the reason there was fatigue. Everybody just wants Craig to say, look, grew up here, want to win here, want to be here, want to stay here. I think that's what people are looking for. People understand, hey, if you want to take a little bit of time, that's fine. But when you come back and say you love us, you want to be here, you want to win, we're going to do everything we can to win a World Series for this fan base that has never won one. We want to see that happen here in our lifetime. And I think that's what everybody wants to hear. Instead, when you get I don't know, I don't want to do. But it's not like he's shunning us. It's not like he's shunning the fan base, the Brewers organization. He's just saying, you know what, I might be at the end of my rope, from doing this, every day for the last 34 something years, since I was a kid. I may just want to see my kids grow up. And I have the money to do it. And I don't think I would fault him for that. I don't think anybody would. 876, is that reasonable, Grant, or am I off base on all of that?
Oh, totally reasonable. Okay. Yeah. Do you know how much, but I'm just speaking generally. Do you know how much time it is to be a Major League Baseball manager from the start of spring training till the end of the season? You're on every road trip. You're there all day. You're doing 3 press conferences a day, a little pregame with the media, postgame. It's just so much. I don't fault anyone after doing that for, 5, 6, 7, 8 years to consider maybe doing something else. Baseball manager, that's a lot. That's so much of your year. That's so much of your time. Yep.
100% agree. It's time consuming. It's emotion consuming. It's everything. So, and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just simply saying it's sometimes when you get to the end of it, you're probably going, man, I'm a little bit fatigued from this. Maybe I just want to see my wife and kids. However, what's in front of us is the season, and we're still forging forward. We're still doing with analytics. We're still doing it with baling wire and duct tape at this point, the way the injuries continue to mount with this team. And they're still winning. And oh, by the way, they're still on top. So all is not lost. All is not lost. 877-867-1670. Coming up in a little bit, about an hour and 15 minutes from now, we're going to talk with our buddy Chuck Freeman. He's going to be joining us, and we'll talk with him from the Locked On Brewers podcast about what he thinks regarding all of this. We'll get into that. Coming up after the top of the hour, are the Green Bay Packers the 5th best team in the NFC? Was reading, and sure enough, the 5th best team in the NFC, minus the quarterback. Are they the 5th best team in the NFC? So we'll get into that coming up after the top of the hour. Thought that was relatively interesting too. Vincent says it's not about an owner spending money. It's about a general manager buying the right guys. When will people wake up and realize that? That's from Vincent. Vincent, by the way, listening to us up in Eagle River. Vincent, it's what I've been preaching. If you can find, let's put it this way. If you can find a young talent that has quite a bit of ability, that's still on a low-end contract, that maybe you see something in that maybe another team doesn't, and you can pick them up in a trade, kudos to you. If you see something, look at what, take Ron Wolf, for example. He saw a young arm in Brett Favre, and nobody wanted him, and Glanville thought he was an idiot, and they called him country, and just didn't want him, and he was a cast-off. He was a cast-off. And then Ron Wolf went, no, this guy's not a cast-off. He's the real deal. You just got to know how to wrangle him in. And sure enough, he did. And look what happened. That's what the Brewers are looking for. Now, there are other guys out there that are talented. They show they have talent. They have proven they've had talent. And they know that they're going to move on for a long period of time in their career, you would assume. So they're the high-end dollars, and it's going to cost you to get them. So what you're wanting is the Brewers as a group just once to be the guy that gets the guy. Well, they got Christian Yelich. They got CC Sabathia. They did bring up a good group of guys in Braun and Fielder and Hardy and Hart and Hall. And, you go through that whole list. They did bring in a guy in Ben Sheets that they drafted and goes off and wins a gold medal with, USA Baseball. And so they have taken chances. They have gone out and found the guys, certainly. But remember, there was a lot of losing in between some of that stuff. I think what people are asking for is, hey, if you've got one guy like a Freddie Freeman or somebody who can play first base, who's got all the intangibles, can give you numbers, can give you power, can drive in runs, has a little bit of speed. No, by the way, can even play maybe a staunch first base. Be that possible, which we haven't seen since Moses was a baby, the possible first base Gold Glove. Go in on that. That's what fans are wanting to see. That's when they say whether or not you're in it to win it or you're really not. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. I think that's what, when you put your thumb on the pulse of what people are feeling, I think that's what people are feeling. We don't want to hear we were in on this guy. What we want to hear is we got him. And we all look at each other going, really? The Brewers did that? Holy mackerel, they're serious about winning. That's what I think the perception becomes reality in regarding people's minds. Let's do this. We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. Don't forget, coming up after the top of the hour, are the Green Bay Packers really the fifth best team in the NFC? We'll talk about it when we get after the top of the hour, so stay tuned. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up next.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome to Pella.
Hi, it's come to my attention. I need new windows.
You do?
Hey, sweetie, what's this?
My art project?
Honey, it's rotten. We need to toss it.
Then why do we have to keep our rotten windows, Dad?
Well, you came to the right place. Pella has a limited lifetime warranty on our wood windows, so this doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. The Bill Michaels Show. Love some Pearl Jam. Good stuff. You know what, Grant? We don't have is the Grant Bill's musical flair.
Oh, really? What do you mean by that?
Which you can throw some music in there if you want to. Some different stuff.
You want my musical flair? Be careful what you ask for now.
No, that's okay. No, I'm diverse. I mean, God, we got Buckwheat Zydeco in there.
Maybe a little Jimmy Buffett. Maybe I'll throw some flair in there.
Throw some Buffett in there. You can throw some Motley Crue in there. You can throw some Foo Fighters in there. You can throw Better Than Ezra in there. Hell, I don't care. Whatever you want to throw in there. Yeah. New Radicals. All that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Noted.
You can throw in some Flo Rida. I don't mind that. You can throw in all kinds.
Little hip youthful, spunky edge to the show.
I'm throwing it all out there. Yeah. I'm throwing it all out there. Whatever it is.
I like that.
Whatever.
Austin and I last week were power ranking our favorite bumper songs of yours. He's a big huge Lorelei fan. He loves that song.
That's one of those songs that you either love or you hate. And there's a lot of people that don't like it, but I do. And I know, Come Sail Away is the big one, and Rockin' the Paradise, and Mr. Roboto, and, all that stuff, all their hits. And they've got so many of them, Styx does. But Lorelei's one of those hidden gems. And that was actually sung by JY, James Young, and not so much Tommy Shaw, or back in the day, Dennis DeYoung. So, yeah, which I like. There's Miss America is another one.
We look for the hidden gems on this show. We don't only play the hits; we play the deep cuts too. On
exactly.
The show.
Exactly. So we got diversity coming, without a doubt. Let's see here. This one's from Jackson. Jackson says, when it comes to bumper music, he says you can't go wrong with a little Sinatra. I don't know if I'm going to fire up a bunch of Sinatra on the program. Don't get me wrong. Having Italian blood, I love Sinatra. I love the Rat Pack. I love all the stuff that Sammy Davis did back in the day. My mom was a huge Sammy Davis fan. Dean Martin was king of the beverages. I loved it all. No doubt. But I don't know if Sinatra necessarily goes good with a show, a sports talk show. Just throwing it out there. John Wayne says, get some Warren Zevon. Lawyers, guns, and money.
Ooh. My dad loves that song.
Yeah. Yeah, now we're getting a Wayback Machine. So we're going to be talking about, China Grove and the Doobie Brothers and, old Chicago or something like that. Although Rush has been with me, because people ask all the time why the Rush. Rush has been with me since 1992. The first show that I did was 1992. So been with me the entire time. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to find us, go ahead and do so. This is from Jake. Jake says, hey guys, great show and great discussion regarding Wade Miley. Do you think the Brewers now need to go out and start looking for a starting pitcher if Woodruff's not going to be back and Miley's elbow issues could linger? Boy, that would throw. I think what you really do is you wait and see what the next week is going to hold before you make that knee-jerk. I'm sure it's right now sitting in the back of the mind of Matt Arnold. I mean, if you really ask yourself, and we talked about this yesterday, what has been better, your pitching or your hitting? Your pitching has certainly been far better. But when you look at it and your run differential is less on the negative side than some of the others that are actually leading their division, what have you been getting it done with? Do you go pitching? Do you just say, oh, we're going to go strong pitching, hope that what we have sticks, maybe find a bat, but it's going to be a low-end bat. We all know that. Maybe find a bat, maybe hope some of the guys we have down in the system, like a Frelick, like a Hero, all those guys, we just start maybe rotating them up. Who knows? and maybe one of them catch fire, and all of a sudden there's an instant spark, and you're throwing darts at a dartboard, and you go out and find yourself a guaranteed arm to help this rotation out, because you don't know the unknown, the fear of the unknown going into August, September, and October. You don't know what you're going to have pitching wise. And you've now found out, and the proof is in the pudding, that good pitching has shut down good hitting throughout this season. That's the reason the Brewers are on top of the division, right? So do you now kind of shift your thinking, your thought process when it comes to who you're going to go after, if indeed you're going to make a trade? That's a great question. I would think that I would kind of think that they already know, but I think right now the X factor would be Wade Miley. And I said that at the beginning of the season. I said, look, if Miley's healthy, and he looked like what limited time he had to throw last year, he looked good. And I know it was limited, but he looked good. And the year before that, he was pretty good. It's been the injuries that have derailed him. And if you can get him out of the sore elbow and bring him back and let him just be that good anchor at number 4 once you get to the postseason, if indeed you get to the postseason, you're stacked. You're fine. And as a matter of fact, then you're able to move some of those cats that you've been using in those starting stints more to the middle relief, and it really stacks your bullpen, because then you can just concentrate on getting an extra bat or two, maybe finding yourself a first baseman along the way. Who knows? Or with the plethora of pitching that you would then have, maybe that pitching could garner you a better bat than what you were expecting to get, just trying to find a diamond in the rough. So we'll wait and see. Good stuff. Good discussion, too. Coming up in the next hour. So I'm reading this morning, perusing, I'm going through all the different periodicals at the sportspages.com. And I am reading that the Green Bay Packers, 2 people said they're the 5th best team in the NFC. On the panel, the other 3 picked them in the lower 7. One end ranked almost dead last because they don't believe in Jordan Love at all. Where are the Green Bay Packers? Talk about that when we come back. Also, don't forget, about an hour and a half from now, we got our buddy Chuck Freeman from Locked On Brewers Podcast going to be joining us. Got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up right after this.
Yesterday off, and now head to Philadelphia to take on the Phillies team who sits in 3rd place in the NL East, won 3 in a row and 7 out of their last 10. That series will be followed up by a visit from Atlanta, which owns the best record in the National League by a wide margin.
Are you a non-union construction tradesperson proud of what you do? Did you know you're worth so much more than what you're bringing home today? Put the power of LiUNA union labor to work for you. When you join LiUNA, you get the pay you deserve, plus pension and healthcare benefits above and beyond your compensation. That's 0 deductions for pension and healthcare benefits with LiUNA, because you're worth it. Learn more at liunawisconsin.org/join.
Well, Packers training camp is getting close. Quarterbacks, rookies, and injured players are going to report for camp on Friday. Then the rest of the team will join them next Tuesday. Their first practice will be on Wednesday and open to the public. Meanwhile, camp is also getting closer for Wisconsin Badgers football. They'll hold their first week of camp at UW-Platteville. That starts on August 1st. Also, the Badgers will be down at Big Ten Media Days at Lucas Oil Field next week. For the Wisconsin Sports Zone Network, I'm Ebo.
Bill Michaels Show. Today, beautiful Tuesday, the 18th of July. We wake up anticipating the Brewers in Philadelphia. Wade Miley, if you are just tuning us in, on the 15-day IL, sore elbow after his last start in Cincinnati. So, it's disappointing, but I don't think as long as he's able to come back, I don't think it's overwhelmingly detrimental. It's, again, if he's not able to come back, then certainly it begins to loom large, but nevertheless. In the meantime, you have got in the NFL, I started perusing this morning. Great day today. Got up and yesterday did when you get back from vacation, especially this time of year, with the charity event right around the corner, the motorcycle ride, it is an extremely busy time. Because now, especially after the Harley Davidson 120th that just took place, now you are full bore into promoting and hoping the ride becomes a wild success. And we raise a lot of money for Fisher House, Wisconsin, for our veterans, our military members, and their families. So yesterday, I was out and about. I'm doing everything. I'm buying trailers, and I'm going to the different stops, and I'm having meetings at the Harley Museum. And I mean, it's bananas. So I got home. I got up this morning, energized, man, ready to go. I was working last night in the office until, I don't know, about midnight, something like that. Out emails and going over legal stuff and with the attorneys and making sure everything's good and ready to go. And I get up this morning, did all my running around, and I'm out. I get back and I sit down in the office, and I've got my water with me, and I start reading. And there's a couple of different sites that I go to that have a ton of different sports pages on them. And now in today's day and age, sports pages have become pay-per-view. You got to pay for all this stuff. And so there's a few that I go to. And I started reading this morning, and they were ranking the top teams in the NFC. And I thought, okay, let me see where the Packers rank. And I started panning up. One writer had them last. Another writer had them 12th. Like, ooh, that's not good. Two writers had them ranked at 5th. Philadelphia number 1, San Francisco number 2, Dallas number 3, the Giants number 4, Detroit, and Green Bay tied at number 5. Another one just had them flat out number 5. Had Detroit at number 4, Packers at number 5, and the Giants at number 6. Like, wow. That's a lot of faith. And I'm thinking, what is the disparity between 2 writers versus 3 writers? The number 1 cog in the machine is Jordan Love. So let's think about this for a minute. Grant, you and I did this yesterday. You take Jordan Love out of the mix. Is this the 5th best team in the NFC? We talked about the depth of roster with Detroit. Now, I would agree Detroit might be ranked 4th. I would agree with that. But I had to think, and I love things that make me think. And I started going through this, and I said, okay, let's if you take out the quarterback, Philadelphia and San Francisco, I'd probably say if you took the quarterback out of the equation, San Francisco's number 1, and Philadelphia is going to be number 2. A close number 2, but a number 2. Because I thought last year had San Francisco actually had any kind of a reliable quarterback at the end, they would win. And they just didn't. So San Francisco, Philadelphia, certainly 1 and 2, depending on flip-flopping them where you go. Would Dallas be number 3? I probably would have to go in that direction. Would you pick Dallas number 3 as the 3rd best team in the NFC?
I don't know if I love Dallas's roster. That much. Dak Prescott, I trust more than I trust Jared Goff or right. Jordan Love or Justin Fields. But, they signed Brandon Cooks. Like, CeeDee Lamb is not the number 1 guy that Justin Jefferson has turned into or Jamar Chase has turned into. I'm not saying the Cowboys roster is overrated. It certainly is far beneath the Eagles and the Niners. Yeah. Like, I don't want to make that distinction. I don't know that the Cowboys roster is that amazing. I think the Packers roster is very good, but it might be a year or 2 away because Rashawn Gary's got to come back. Got to see what Lucas Van Ness is going to be and what Coy Walker and Devontae Wyatt can do. And then they have this whole slew of weapons that were drafted either last year or this year. and those guys might not mature. They might not reach their potential for another year or two. So I really like the Packers roster, but it's young and it's early, unlike some of these other rosters in the NFC. They're a little bit farther along.
So when I look and you take the quarterback out of the position, you got CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, you got Michael Gallup. You still have that big Zach Martin and Tyrone Smith anchoring both sides of that offensive line. Terrence Steele, who they picked up to be their right tackle. You got Tony Pollard, who's they really like, and that's the reason they told Zeke pack a lunch. They still have Jake Ferguson. They picked up Luke Shoemaker in the draft, and the only other guy that really I think is going to become some kind of a starter almost right away is going to be Mozzie Smith, their nose tackle. Otherwise, their defense is with Stephon Gilmore and company, and DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons and such. Van Der Esch as well. They're set. That's a pretty good roster. I can't argue a lot with that. So I would maybe say Dallas. Okay, I could take them as maybe the third best. Are the Giants and Saquon Barkley? Remember, that whole thing did not transpire yesterday, and I can't believe that the Giants stood steadfast and died on that hill with Saquon Barkley, who is a majority of their offense. Man, I can't believe they just let him twist in the wind. But that's what they're going to do. So how much dissension is there going to be in that locker room in New York? Because they're already fighting an uphill battle. So are the Giants in there?
How frustrating would it be? And this is why the running backs are upset. Saquon is thinking, I'm one of the most talented, dynamic, successful players at my position in the league. You guys can't give me an honest to goodness contract. He said he didn't want to reset the market, Bill. He just wants a fair deal. He wants to stay in New York, and he's got to watch Daniel Jones, who's sucked for the better part of the last couple of years. They gave him a massive deal with just not much at all. He was fine last year. They signed him, and they won't meet Saquon halfway. That's why these running backs are frustrated, and I get it.
Yeah, first of all, when I heard the Daniel Jones deal, I about fell out of my chair. I'm just like, are you kidding? He gets one win in the postseason, and this is what you're going to do? We all know it. There's now whoever his agent was did a hell of a job, but we all know it. It's kind of like the Nick Perry syndrome. Nick Perry was a guy. He was an okay guy. Had one good season, and it just happened to be, oh, by the way, the contract year. So Nick Perry goes out into the market. Well, you look at edge rushers. That year, the free agent market sucked. It was terrible. And there was one or two that were good. They were gone. And the big money had already been thrown out. So who was the next best guy on the docket? It was Nick Perry. So the Packers gave him big money to stay. Bust money to stay. And they overpaid, way overpaid. But he was the lesser of two evils. So you paid for it. That's what Daniel Jones is. He's not an elite quarterback. He's a guy. He's probably a step below Dak Prescott, in my opinion. But he's a guy. And they had no other choice. So they paid him. They paid him the quarterback going freight. And in the meantime, you left your offense, kind of twisting in the wind with what they didn't do with Saquon Barkley. So I wonder what's going to go on there. Then you look at say, like the roster, just again, taking the Brock Purdy, Trey Lance and stuff out of it. And you look at Deebo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, Brandon Ayuk. You look at those guys. They drafted Danny Gray in the third round last year as one of the backups. You still have Nick Bosa. You still got Hargrave up front, Eric Armstead. You got Dre Greenlaw on that defensive side. Fred Warner's over there. So that San Francisco group is stellar. So, okay. So you got a terrific roster there. And we already talked about Philadelphia. So you got Dallas. We went through New York, and New York I don't believe in. Whose roster is better than the Green Bay Packers? I couldn't argue if you gave me Detroit, as you did yesterday. You made a very worthy argument to say Detroit may not be loaded with superstars, but they're extremely solid in a lot of positions. And with what they have, and you got to look at like Marvin Jones Jr., Amber St. Brown. They did pick up Sam Laporta over at their tight end position. How quickly he's going to be adapting into this system, we'll have to wait and see. They picked up Jack Campbell, the middle linebacker that a lot of people coveted. Obviously, they got Aiden Hutchinson, who started to come of age last year on the edge rush. They still have Liam McNeil, John Kaminsky up front. But when you start going through this, you look at Emmanuel Mosley, and you're like, okay, he's okay. They picked him up from San Francisco. not stellar, but Cameron Sutton. Okay, they picked him up from Pittsburgh. All right. Tracy Walker is the guy that they drafted at free safety going back to, I don't know how many years ago that was, 4 or 5 years ago. They got Kirby Joseph, who they picked up a couple of years ago. So, but there's nobody that stands out and makes you go, wow, holy mackerel. But they're deep. They've got a good team. They're a very solid team, and they're a team that's on the rise. So is Detroit roster-wise better? Devondre Campbell, Preston Smith. You've got an all-pro Pro Bowler in Kenny Clark up front. Then you got 2 up-and-comers off of that championship Georgia defense, Devontae Wyatt and Quay Walker. Now you've got a guy in Lucas Van Ness who looks to be the real deal coming back. You're going to get Rashawn Gary at some point back, as you had mentioned. Stokes could be coming back. You've got the highest paid and one of the best considered corners, cover corners, man-up corners in the league in Jair. Do you look at the Packers and say that, yeah, they have a better roster? Their offensive line is pretty much intact and stellar now and all back together in a restful, relaxing offseason? The only question marks, again, go back to your specialty people on the offensive side of the football. And you even your special team should be better with Keyshawn Nixon returning for an entire season. So who do you go with? Who's the better team?
I think it depends on the ceiling of some of these players. Like, I think Rashawn Gary is very good. Can he be great? Can he be a game wrecker like maybe Aiden Hutchinson can be? Mm-hmm. And then let's compare like Amon-Ra St. Brown and Christian Watson.
Right.
Amon-Ra St. Brown has looked awesome and Christian Watson has been awesome. Can they ascend to number 1 wide receiver that you can build an offense around, you can build your game plan around? I think both the Packers and the Lions have younger pieces that both teams are excited about. How high do they go? How good or how great truly can they be? Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be a big difference between, the Lions and the Packers. And of course, quarterback like Jordan Love. I know we're leaving Jordan Love out of the discussion, but that's going to be a massive part of the Packers' success too.
Yeah, I can't argue. Tampa Bay's in a rebuild, we can say. New Orleans somewhat doing the same. Carolina's got Bryce Young, and they feel like all they need is a little bit of success, and they could be right there. Atlanta very quietly won some games last year, and it looks like they're maybe on the come, depending on what they're going to get out of Ritter. You had the bounce back year out of Geno Smith, which, by the way, most people pick Seattle number 6. Then there's the Rams. The Rams, you lost a couple of key pieces. Once Von Miller left, and you lost OBJ. You had a down season out of Matthew Stafford. It wasn't the same. That chemistry. You lost your big left tackle right after the Super Bowl. That chemistry just wasn't there last year. Didn't look good. Arizona's in a complete disarray. And I'm trying to think who else is better. Now, Minnesota, certainly, you can look at offensively and say Minnesota's a juggernaut. They're damn good, even I think without Dalvin Cook. But what do you do after the fact? So I look at the talent. I'm like, well, Green Bay's probably right there. Maybe they're not that far off. And if you believe that, say, they're the 5th or 6th best team in the NFC, talent-wise, then your assumption is, if you just get the same productivity out of Jordan Love that Aaron Rodgers gave you last year, and you get maybe your defense gives you one more win, you can look at yourself. You can look at this team and say, then well, why not put them in the postseason? They may not win the division, but why not put them in as a wild card? Which again, you wake up optimistic. Now, you put the quarterback position into the equation, and you go along with the pessimists and say, look, he's not the real deal. He's not going to be the guy. He can't hit quick outs. He's not that good. Rolling out, he's not as accurate. Throws a wobbly ball. All the things that were of eyebrow-raising concern going back to the OTAs and the mini camps. Some of the things we saw 2 years ago against Kansas City, against Detroit. Decision-making being relatively slow. Well, then you say, okay, that's going to be your boat anchor. He's not going to be anything that's going to propel you forward. He's going to be the boat anchor that holds you back. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. That's a tremendous question, and it makes you ponder. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at J&L Tire and Service Center. They're in Watertown and in Johnson Creek. I go to the one in Johnson Creek. Lyle and his staff, big supporters of Fisher House, Wisconsin, not only through the golf outing, but also in the motorcycle ride as well. Great people out there. and I trust them with my vehicles. Doesn't matter if it's the truck or the car. I'd even trust them to work on the RV. They work on big rigs too. So if you're an over-the-road driver, you're listening to the program, you got a problem right now, whether it's tires, brakes, or something with your trailer, your tractor, they've got the facility to handle it. That is J&L Tire and Service Center, Highway 26 and 94, right there in Johnson Creek, just above 94, or in Watertown, Highway 16 on Boulder Road as well. Stay tuned. More of the Bill Michaels Show coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome to Pella.
Hi, it's come to my attention. I need new windows.
You do?
Hey, sweetie, what's this?
My art project?
Honey, it's rotten. We need to toss it.
Then why do we have to keep our rotten windows, Dad?
Well, you came to the right place. Pella has a limited lifetime warranty on our wood windows, so this doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Huge supporters of our motorcycle ride coming up on Sunday, September 3rd. And that is our friends at Burn Pit Barbecue. Why? Because they are veterans themselves. And they are one of the best veteran-owned businesses in the country. Not here in our own backyard, but in the country. And it's all because of most of you here in our own backyard. And for people that have gone onto the website, burnpitbbq.com, and whether it's the barbecue sauces or the rubs, the hot sauces, the different lines that they have, you've taken a shot and you've enjoyed it and you've gone back and you've bought more and you've told friends and the word is spread. And then they ended up going national on the QVC thing, and then they got more recognition. And now they're one of the best veteran-owned companies in the country, and they're right here in Racine, Wisconsin. So keep up the good work, my friends, because you are doing some really, really good stuff for some really, really good people. That is burnpitbbq.com. That is burnpitbbq.com. And speaking of the motorcycle ride, it's coming up on Sunday, September 3rd. We are in full-blown push now to get people signed up. And if you're watching on the live stream, you can see the QR code, scan it with your phone. It'll take you right to the pre-registration. You can get some discounted tickets to go to the Harley Davidson Museum. And if you saw last night on the different Facebook pages and Instagram that one of the prize packages, which continues to grow, is growing by leaps and bounds for pre-registration. There are 3 prize packages only for those who pre-register. One is a weekend getaway. I talked to Barb and the gang yesterday at Four Seasons Island Resort, and she's like, they can't wait. They can't wait to host whoever wins that package and supports our cause. And so they're looking forward to that. We're putting together a champagne basket with Vouv. Cliquet. I don't even know how to pronounce it. Grant, are you a champagne person?
Oh my gosh, I'm a worse person to ask than you are.
Okay. It is Vouv something or other.
Sounds French and luxurious.
Yeah, it's Veuve Cliquot. I think is how you pronounce it.
Sold me.
Okay.
I believe what you're speaking here.
Yeah.
You never took French or a foreign language in high school or in college?
No, I never did. I did. I didn't take French. I took Spanish. I took Spanish and Latin. For 2 years, I took Latin, and then I had needed a third year for college, so I took Spanish.
Latin?
Yeah,
wow.
I had to take Latin. And Latin is what about every language short of Russian and Chinese is derived from. So, in the Asian community, it's basically the Chinese language and the Chinese writing. In some of those other European countries, it's based off of more Russian than anything, but just about everything else, Italian, Spanish, German's a little bit, but not as much. But a lot of those different languages all derive originally from Latin. So I took Latin. It gives you a lot of root bases, so to speak. I don't remember much from it, to be honest with you.
I was going to say, can you do a segment in Latin?
No, but I will say this. The one thing that you learn as a youngster going to an all-boy high school that is a Catholic all-boy high school is you figure out how to say all the dirty phrases in Latin. That I remember.
I was going to say, I wouldn't be shocked if Chuck Freeman, who's going to join us in an hour, Chuck Freeman probably took a Latin class somewhere.
Yeah.
He seems like someone who went to Catholic school or was scolded by nuns at some
he was
point.
scolded by everybody. But yeah, you're absolutely right. So Veuve Cliquot, I think as I'm pronouncing it correctly, the way somebody just shot it to me. But you get 2 bottles of that, some champagne glasses, and you get a full Friday night and Saturday night weekend stay at the Four Seasons Island Resort. And you get access to the Pine Mountain Resort as well. So you get kind of a cool weekend. And that's valued because those bottles, I think, if I'm not mistaken, from what the guy told us that donated, they're $100 a bottle. So between the stay, which is $259 a night on average, and then the bottles, you're talking about $600, $700 worth of package. So that's not bad. And then the big one that everybody's asking about, we are going to take you to the Sheridan Grand. Now, can you imagine as winning this package, if you are a football fan, a sports fan, you get a chance to go down with us. Now, we're not driving you there, but we're going to stay. We're all going to stay at the Sheridan Grand Riverwalk in Chicago. But we're going to have some drinks in the Shy Bar where we're going to do our show from. In the lounge between myself and Mike Clemens, sitting down in the evening having beverages. Can you imagine just sitting there and just picking the brain via Packers football of Mike Clemens and just talking? We're going to do that. You get the weekend stay. You get the Saturday night stay down there, plus 2 tickets to go see Jordan Love open up against Justin Fields, the Packers and Bears. So you get the tickets, you get the weekend stay. We're going to get some drinks. We're going to hang out, and who knows, maybe we all go get dinner together. But that's going to be one of the packages. And then the other one that we posted yesterday, which continues to grow, is a prize package from it's a whiskey and cigar package. You've got a donated bottle of single barrel Maker's Mark. You've got a bottle of Boardstown, and that bottle I know is about $140. You got the anniversary Jack Daniel's Sinatra bottle, plus a single barrel donated bottle of Jack Daniel's. We got 2 other bottles that are coming. You get the Rocks Glass set from Harley Davidson. You get a 3 cigar holder, cedar line cigar holder, 2 flasks, lunch for 4. That's valued at like $140 from the distillery in Grafton. You get a bottle of Screwball that has been autographed by the drummer of Disturbed, Mike Wangren. You get a high-end bottle of the Jesse James Dupree single barrel Tennessee whiskey, which is autographed by Jesse. And then 2 other bottles of whiskey, plus a full box of Brickhouse cigars, a full 4-torch lighter, and a custom snip as well. And that's valued at over $1,000 already. So those 3, that's just for pre-registering. So do any of those interest you, Grant?
I just sounded like a lot of bottles of booze, nice booze that I normally don't splurge for. So yeah.
Are you a whiskey drinker, bourbon
sounds
drinker?
Interesting. I normally tilt brandy, but it's all good. I'm not a picky drinker, Bill. Not at all.
No, I am. I appreciate Scotch and bourbon. The Tennessee whiskey, to me, is a little bite. I got a friend of mine who absolutely loves it. He knows that he can tell you everything about everything. But the bourbons, I'm all in. Good bourbon, you betcha. I'm good with that. I can go face first into that stuff. Bring me a snorkel and I'm in.
When are we going to get a big unit bourbon? When are we going to get your own
we got to talk to somebody. There's probably somebody here in the state of Wisconsin that can do that. Maybe that's what
100% there is.
Yeah, maybe we do that. I know we got, let's see here. We got our friends. There's a distillery here in the state. Is it Central Standard? I think. There's Door County. Door County's got a distillery up there too. Maybe we do something like that. You're coming up with ideas now. Marketability. I like that. So those are the 3 packages for those that get pre-registered. So if we're really trying to push this and last year we had a record number of motorcycles. We had 1,085, which makes us, I believe, some people are telling us now we're the largest, or the second largest, either way, motorcycle ride in the state of Wisconsin. It's the one that everybody wants to go on. So thank you all for participating, but we need you again this year. So again, scan the QR code or just simply follow us, facebook.com/Big Unit Poker Run. All the information is right there. You can find the links. You can find all the different prizes. And we're going to start posting almost every day. So leading up to the ride. So please, even if you don't ride, go there, share it with people who do ride, and try to draw awareness to it, because we can't say thanks enough to our veterans, our military members, and their families for all the support. So there you have it. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. By the way, Chuck says 608 Distillery in La Crosse.
Now you're talking.
That's in your backyard. Your former backyard, I shall say.
I do love that place. Yeah. I bet there are distilleries that would line up to make we need a big unit bourbon. And then when you buy that, you get a little body of Grant Bill's brandy, just a little bit, just to accompany.
There you go. You get the sipping brandy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I like that. The Bill's brandy. And then the big unit bourbon, the bub. Oh, now we're talking. That's market. We're
more than just pretty faces.
No. We're full of everything. I'll tell you that. Yeah. Got to throw a good cigar behind that, and we're in. Now, are you a cigar smoker too?
Yeah, but again, I don't have a refined enough taste to appreciate a good cigar. So if you hand me a 99-cent gas station cigar, I'm happy like a pig in slop. But I need someone to teach me the ways of the fancy cigars.
It's funny when I go into like when I'm at Nice Ash or I'm doing one of the cigar dinners or such. Most of the cigar dinners, though, everything gets explained to you. What it is, what you should taste, what you And as you start looking for things, you get a little bit more refined. But there's a lot of people. Cigars have become fashionable, and there is a lot of people now. Young people will be sitting down at Nice Ash, and I'll be in a table next to the humidor, and there's guys in there just walking around. And they're just looking around because they're overwhelmed. They have no idea what it is they're looking at. They just figure the more expensive the cigar, the better it tastes, and that's not true, because everybody has a different taste. It depends on what you like. But I recommend numerous different types of cigars before you really jump face first into it. You either get yourself a mild cigar like a Perdomo Champagne, something like that, like a 10th anniversary cigar. Tayback has a mildly flavored cigar, which is mild and it's good. And then there's like a Macanudo M with the espresso, which is really good. And it's got a flavor to it. And especially when you're walking around places when you go to light it up, and people go, oh my God, a cigar smell. And it doesn't smell bad. People actually follow you around because it smells good. There's 3 or 4 cigars you can start with and then start to refine your taste from there. There's Sweet Baby Jane from the Drew Estate Group. And we'll see those guys when we're out in Deadwood, out in Sturgis this coming August. But you don't need to have a refined taste to be able to do it and start to get yourself into it. And that way you don't get a cigar that's terrible and you spit it out going, this is awful. And then that's your first experience and last experience in doing that. So,
gotcha.
Yeah. No, you come to me. I'll steer you in the right direction.
Well, I can play the part. I can sit there and talk and say, smoky, yes, rich and compelling. Like I can fake anything. I'm not going to know what I'm talking about, but I can fake it if I have to.
Let's do this. We'll step out. We went far too long, but we'll step out, take a quick break. We'll come back. We got a lot of more to get to. Stay tuned. This portion of the program brought to you by great friends. We stopped over there the other day and had dinner. The Social House on West Lisbon Road, Menominee Falls, and had the Tiger Burger is absolutely fantastic. But they've got a jalapeno grilled cheese. Oh, it's so good. So good. Check out Dan Della and the whole staff at the Social House, West Lisbon Road, Menominee Falls. And when you go in there for breakfast on Sunday and you buy yourself any kind of a mixed drink, like a Bloody Mary or anything else for that matter, you get free pancakes. Always good. Anything. If it's free, it's for me. God knows that.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Quick Trip brings you quick, hot savings. We're making a splash this month with our Nature's Touch milk. Just $2.99 a gallon. All our 1 gallon, 2%, 1%, and skim Nature's Touch milk is on sale and ready to hit your fridge. Oh, how can you beat fresh, straight from our dairy milk that's ready for movie night milkshakes or to make those morning waffles extra fluffy? Hey, we got you covered with quick, hot savings only at Quick Trip.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
If by chance you are looking for a new home or maybe selling a home, maybe an investment property in Ozaki, Milwaukee, Waukesha, Johnson Creek area, all the way out, whatever happened, Washington County, get a hold of my buddy Mikey Whitcomb. He's the guy that helped me get into the house that I am currently in now and own and love. And I think I'm probably going to die here before it's all said and done, unless I hit the lottery. But Mikey's got it, 414-243-1976, 414-243-1976 with Exit Realty. Great guy, and he's the one that worked with me through every step of the way in getting my home, and he can do the same for you. Does the same for everybody, as a matter of fact. He's a biker. He's no nonsense, I'll tell you this. He tells you straight, which is really what you want. You don't want anybody just to kiss your ass just because you got money. He'll tell you definitely what it is you can't afford, what your financing is, down payment needs to be, what he believes to be a good offer, bad offer, all that kind of stuff, everything. So go with my buddy Mikey, a no-nonsense guy, 414-243-1976 and Exit Realty. Good stuff. Mike says, by the way, I've never smoked, but if Karen Berger asked me to smoke a cigar with her, I might. There you go. Karen Berger's a cutie. She's tiny, I'll say that. When she did we were in La Crosse, as a matter of fact, for the cigar dinner when she was out at Celebrations, Grant. I don't think you came to that one, did you? You didn't
No, I had something going on. Should I know who Karen Berger is?
No, not really. You can Google her, but Karen Berger, she was young, and her husband, before he was her husband, which is no bearing on sports, but a quick rundown. But basically, she was working in a cigar plant in Nicaragua and Colombia or Nicaragua, I can't remember, but she was young and she was a cigar roller. And this man had moved from, I believe it was, God, I don't know if it was Poland or where he came from, but then he went to Miami, and then from there he went to Cuba, and then from there he moved into Nicaragua and bought a cigar plant. And he ended up meeting her, marrying her. She was, quite a bit younger than him. They had a couple of kids together. They were married 17 years, and then he passed away. And she knows every aspect of the business and inherited the business. She went from basically being a cigar roller to the owner, and has done quite well, and then has really kind of expanded the Karen Berger line of cigars. So anyway, if that's who Mike's talking about. And she flew in from Nicaragua for our cigar dinner at Celebrations in La Crosse about a month ago. And
everyone loves visiting La Crosse.
Yes.
Everybody.
She loved it there. As a matter of fact, we're going to see her at Super Bowl in Vegas. Her company is working with Mike Ditka and Ron Jaworski for the Cigars with the Stars party. So we are going to see her and her representation out there then. But she's got to be all of maybe 5'2". But when she came to do the cigar dinner, she was wearing, and I kid you not, she was probably wearing 9-inch heels.
Yeah.
She stood, she looked me right in the chin. I mean, like right in the chin. And she was, I swear to God, she had to be wearing 9-inch heels. They had to be 4 or 5-inch platform heels. And walked like a champ, like not, like a baby deer trying to stand up for the first time. She walked like a champ. So yeah, she was, and she knew her stuff, man. She knew everything. I took every question there was. And I've done these cigar dinners now for 5 years, I think. And nobody has ever answered as many questions in detail as she did. She was absolutely blew you away with her knowledge because she's pretty. I mean, if you look at her picture, just Google Karen Berger cigars and you'll go, oh, damn. But she knew it like she wrote the book on it. So it was impressive. 877-867-1670. James says both the Packers and the Bears are playing for the top pick in the 2024 draft this coming season to draft a real quarterback. James has that opinion. James, I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong. But in the back of my mind, I'm going, I know, right? Oh, geez. That's kind of where I'm at. So, Grant, flat out, when people say, do you think Jordan Love's a real deal? What's your first thing that comes to mind?
Oh, man.
Right? Yeah. That's it. Oh, man. That's it.
I think he's going to be fine, which for a lot of teams, I think would make fans very happy. I don't know how Packers fans are going to react to him. I think he could be just fine, and Packers fans will think that he's awful.
Oh, my God. So last night I was watching, I had a TV on in the background. It's great that you say that. I had the TV on. Are you a fan of The Big Bang Theory?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So it's on in the background last night. I'm not watching it, but it was on because there was really nothing else on. I was just got done watching MLB Network, and so Big Bang Theory was on. I'm watching it. It's the episode where Penny and whatever his name is, the one guy, they finally hook up. And he says, oh, it was fine. And they said, fine, then they go on and on. They kind of make fun of him. And when it turns out that she finds out that he used the word fine, he said, well, if you use dining and wine behind it, you really got something. So when you say, I think he's going to be just fine, my first thought was he's fine. It's okay. It's not great. That was it.
Yeah.
The same face.
It's like when you said the Packers are the 5th best team in the NFC. You could frame that multiple ways. You could say they're going to be the 5th best team in the NFC. Or
right.
You could say they're only the 5th best team in the NFC.
Right?
It's not that good of a conference. Delivery is everything.
Yep. No doubt. No doubt. Oh, but yeah, when you said that he's going to be fine, my first thought was like, oh, okay, that's not a compliment, Like when I saw Rodgers and met Rodgers for the first time and then saw him in practice and develop over a couple of years. That's when I was going to practice all the time. I was there like every Wednesday and then every other Thursday, Friday, whatever. And you watched him and you watched Favre's reaction to him. Favre knew he was a real deal. And then Favre tried to parlay a lot of his popularity into power. Ted Thompson knew that Aaron Rodgers was the real deal. That's why Ted Thompson was like, here's your locker. We'll talk to you later. So, and you knew that you didn't want to lose him. So I don't think this scenario is exactly the same with Jordan Love and Brian Gutekunst telling Aaron Rodgers, talk to you later. Here's your walking papers. We'll let you go. I don't see that. Rodgers always knew he was far better. And all Rodgers did was wear out his welcome because he knew he was far better. Where Favre did it out of fear, trying to parlay his popularity into power, which he did have to a certain extent. But I look at Jordan Love and that now, again, I don't see him on a regular, but I get a chance to talk to the people who do behind closed doors and off mic. And there's a lot of guys that say he'll be fine. Maybe his first year, and then we'll see. And well, everything's qualified. Well, we'll see if he can win. We'll see if he can throw a ball that doesn't wobble on a rollout. We'll see if he can throw a ball into a tight window. Which these are all the things that Rodgers had already done by the time he was ready to take over. He just needed to gain the confidence in winning on a consistent. That was it. And he just needed to figure it out. I don't necessarily see the same thing out of Jordan Love. So when you say that, when you say he'll be fine, fine is a vastly gray area relative term when it comes to how good he will actually be. But yeah, man, I'm telling you, it's that was about the reaction that everybody gives. I don't know many people. Do you know anybody that's been in the media that has been there on the regular, whether it's a Packers podcast or a news reporter or a radio journalist or even a guy like Mike who's there every single day, when you're asking them or you have heard them asked, what do you think about Jordan Love? Has anybody come out and go, oh, yeah, this guy's got it?
No, not that's there every day. No.
Right. Yeah.
I think of Tyler Dunn, who's got sources. He's really pro Jordan Love, right? It's a lot of pro Jordan Love stuff, but he's not there every day. Pete Bukowski's another one that comes to mind. And I want to be fair to Pete, but I felt like Pete just got so sick of Rodgers that he was dying for Jordan Love. And now we're all excited about Jordan Love, but beat reporters who are there every day, no, it doesn't seem like this is a sure thing.
Yeah. I just, nobody's come out and given that, full blown, no problem, we got you support for Jordan. Now, again, Jordan does not, he can be fine this year. And the Packers, in my opinion, could still make the postseason. So he could be fine and still be a quarterback on a postseason team. But he's going to have to be better than just good. He's going to have to be, above average, I think. And again, it goes back to if he has the same type, and I said it earlier, if he has the same type of season as Aaron Rodgers had last year, numerically, statistically, then I think the Packers could still end up in the postseason. Because if you couple that with a better run game and a better defense, then yeah, I think that they could find themselves as a wild card in the postseason. And who knows? Once you get there, anything can happen. But I'm not going to. I still said 7 wins plus or minus a game. That's kind of where I'm laying. If they get a couple of extra wins, they'll find themselves in the postseason. I wouldn't doubt that. 877-867-1670. I shouldn't say I wouldn't doubt that. If they win 9 games, I think they're going to find themselves in the postseason. But I don't know if they're going to get to 9 games. I'm thinking 7 or 8 at best. 877-867-1670. Hey, our friend Joe and Ellen over there at Sloppy Joe's and Smoke in the Water. Always something great going on, both places. And Smoke in the Water specifically out there on Okauchee Lake, sitting on the deck, watching the boats go by, having a couple of beverages, maybe a smoked margarita. Oh, it's so good. Check out our friends at Smoke in the Water on Okauchee Lake. Sloppy Joe's Saloon and Spoon, downtown Hubertus. Either place, you cannot go wrong. Good people, great places.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome to Paula.
Hi. It's come to my attention. I need new windows.
You do?
Hey, sweetie, what's this?
My art project.
Honey, it's rotten. We need to toss it.
Then why do we have to keep our rotten windows, Dad?
Well, you came to the right place. Pell has a limited lifetime warranty on our wood windows, so this doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Always a crazy one, broke into the stadium, and I wrote your number on the 50.
Our friends Kirk and the gang over at Cruise Planners, they keep telling me, hey, if you are thinking, maybe, not right now, about traveling today, but maybe in February when it's cold and it's nasty and it's long and right after Super Bowl and you want to head out and you're like, oh, okay, here you go. Land and cruise vacations they have. Land and cruise. So whether it's Cruise Planners taking you on a cruise or Cruise Planners taking you on a land overseas or maybe down to an all-inclusive in Mexico, whatever it happens to be, get a hold of our friend Kirk at 262-344-0697, 262-344-0697, 262-344-0697. Good people. They do a lot of different stuff. And if you're looking for a cruise, great. I love cruises because it's 3-4 cities in 7 days or whatever. And you only unpack once and you go and see the sights and then you go back on the ship and you take another place and take a whole day there. And it's usually pretty cool. Or maybe just also like me, where you just want to go sit on a beach somewhere and sip things that are going to make you feel funny and enjoy yourself. Either way, you can't go wrong. That's our friends at Cruise Planners. Again, call Kirk 262-344-0697. Creeping up on the top of the hour. Don't forget, coming up after the at the bottom of the next hour, we're going to talk with our buddy Chuck Freeman from Locked On Brewers podcast. We'll talk with him about this Brewers team and about the injury situation that again continues to mount. You got the strange Rowdy Tellez. He has the run-in with the outfield wall in Cincinnati, and just a lot of goofy stuff that's happened to the Milwaukee Brewers. So we'll talk with Chuck coming up here at the bottom of the next hour. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to our buddy Tom listening to us in La Crosse. Tom, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Pretty good, man. It's the whole Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love thing. Packer fans are spoiled. We've got a whole generation of Packer fans that all they remember are Hall of Fame quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And I got news for you. I don't think Jordan Love's a third in a row.
No, I would agree with that.
I think Jordan Love, we need to expect from him, not to expect too much, is that, to begin with, he can be a game manager if he can learn the mental part of the game and to keep himself together on the field, to not lose the game on the field, then they'll be pretty good. It's like he'll be fine. And if he's fine long enough, maybe he can learn how to be very good. But it won't be a Hall of Fame career. I mean, what are the odds of hitting 3 in a row?
Very, very, very remote might be the best way to put it. Very remote. Tom, appreciate the phone call. No, I've been saying that for a while. I mean, history would tell you that this is not going to be, he will not be a Hall of Famer. If he is, then God love the Green Bay Packers and the green thumb that they have for growing quarterbacks, because they will have cornered the market on QB success, no doubt. But what you're hoping for is that he is sustainable and not awful. Because you look at franchises that have had good quarterbacks, and then they've gotten guys and they said, hey, this guy's going to be really good, and he's not, and the next guy's not, and the next guy's not, and the next guy's not. And you watch your franchise suffer and suffer and suffer. And a lot of good players, a lot of good teams that have opportunity go by the wayside because your signal caller is not that good. So you're hoping he's better than average. Better than average. 2 down, 2 to go. Stay tuned. Coming up at the bottom of the next hour, we'll talk some Brewers baseball. Chuck Freeman from the Locked On Brewers podcast is going to be here. We'll talk with him. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up right after this.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers going to be back in action tonight as they open a series in Philadelphia. Milwaukee enters having won 4 straight and 5 of their last 6. It has them sitting in first place in the NL Central by 2 games on Cincinnati. Phillies come in sitting in third place in the NL East, but have won 3 straight and 7 of their last 10. Aaron Nola going to be on the bump for Philly. He's 8-6 on the year with a 4.39 ERA. Brewers going to counter with Julio Teheran. He's 2-3 with a 3.64 ERA. Meanwhile, Brewers going to be without one of their starters for a little bit. Wade Miley placed on the injured list yesterday with elbow discomfort. He was scheduled to pitch tomorrow. No replacement has been named yet. First pitch tonight is set for 5:40.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Are you heading on a road trip this summer? Or maybe you're looking for ideas where to go in our great state. Visit ruralmutual.com to download a summer road trip bingo game. Snap photos along the way and be entered to win a quick trip gift card. Visit ruralmutual.com for more details.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Packers are just days out from the first of their players reporting for training camp. Quarterbacks, injured players, and rookies due to arrive on Friday. The rest of the team going to join them a week from today. The first of 13 practices over to the public going to take place next Wednesday, and we'll get underway at 10:30 in the morning. Packers hold their annual family night on August 5th. Their first preseason game, August 11th at Cincinnati. Turning to the Badgers, they're also getting closer to fall camp going. They will be holding that first week in Platteville beginning on August 2nd. Before that, though, the Big Ten will hold its media days down in Indianapolis next week. All 14 teams going to be represented, including the Badgers. Wisconsin announced recently that Braylon Allen, Tanner Mordecai, and Wimajong Meta would be there along with Coach Luke Fickell. Wisconsin opens the season September 2nd against Buffalo. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Welcome back. Bill Michaels Show. Continuing on. Good to have you. Big news coming out of football yesterday. DeAndre Hopkins going to the Tennessee Titans. Saquon Barkley not reaching an agreement with the New York Giants. In the meantime, we are a day away from some of the NFL teams beginning to report to camp, and we'll start right away tomorrow, Grant. You've got Aaron Rodgers, and Hard Knocks begins tomorrow. How excited are you for that?
So I'm amped for Hard Knocks. I actually have a bone to pick with this whole Hard Knocks business.
Yes.
Adam Schefter was on ESPN yesterday, and he was saying the Jets have no interest in this. They don't want to be partners with the league. And there was a comment about how they don't want to show players getting cut. They think that's dehumanizing. And I think a lot of people are thinking that's coming from Aaron Rodgers. Whether it's coming from Rodgers or not, it doesn't matter. Here's my point. This isn't that complicated, Bill. It's just a fun TV show about a training camp.
Right.
You don't have to show guys getting cut. We don't have to show guys getting fired. Just show us some practices, some funny comments from players and coaches. We're going to eat it up. We're not reinventing the wheel with TV here. Why are the Jets so freaked out about this?
You know, they've been doing this show. How long have they been doing it now? It's over a decade, right?
I think it's closer to 20 years. I think
right.
Since 2000, 2001, somewhere in there. This isn't that hard.
The show is called Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
That's what the title of it is. You know, we enjoyed the show Cops for how many years? Guys going down, getting tackled, you know, dogs chasing them, going to jail, people on the down end and bad decision-making end of their lives. Nobody's got a problem with that. Aaron Rodgers goes to the Jets. Suddenly it's dehumanizing. 2 words, bite me. That comes to mind. That's what comes to mind.
That's what I'm saying.
The whole giant steaming pant load that is, oh my God, it's got to be such a touchy-feely. It's football. Shut your face. It's football. There's hard knocks in football. Falling on your ass, getting beat up, getting knocked down, and then getting cut because you can't make it. Sorry about your luck. You had a shot at playing in the NFL. You are in a place where a majority of dudes dream to be one day. And now you're worried because you got cut. Oh, sorry about your feelings. Maybe grow up in a real world, right? By the way, this week marks the start of the NFL training camp for many rookies, and with the veterans set to jump into the action by the following week. By this point in summer, everybody desperately craving any taste of NFL action. It's always our nature as fans to be excited for football. We all know that. But a couple of veteran quarterbacks, at least one Yahoo Sports journalist says will fade this year. That they are paying attention to, and the number one quarterback that is looking to fade this year and begin to show the signs of father time, that is Aaron Rodgers. Last season snapped his streak of consecutive 4,000-yard passing seasons, a bizarre year for the Packers, a bizarre year for Aaron Rodgers. He was missing Devontae Adams and Marquez Valdez-Scantling and such. It was far from a seamless adjustment for him, but it pales in comparison to the changes that he's going to be playing through this season. And they say Rodgers instantly becomes the savior of the Big Apple. And they're talking Super Bowl for the first time in over 50 years. The Jets were able to bring in some familiar faces for him and surround him with what they call his mental cushion. But they are confident Rodgers is going to figure it out, but it's going to take more time than his yardage total will allow, with the numbers being set for a little more than 200 yards over this passing yards total from last year. They have to play under on the quarterback approaching 40 and playing behind a very weak offensive line with a group of guys that he insisted on having around him who are at best average. How about that? They look for Aaron Rodgers to fade and be the Big Apple disappointment. Wow. How about that? The other guy is Russell Wilson. And I don't know what to make out of him. I mean, obviously a new head coach, but I don't even know if Sean Payton's going to be able to save Russell Wilson from himself, since they gave Russell Wilson all the power there in Denver. But I really don't care about Russell Wilson. But I find the insane. I believe, and I hate to get off on the Aaron Rodgers tangent, but I believe Rodgers is going to have a bounce back year. He is. I loved this morning. I'm listening to, I don't know who her name is. They go to her as an NFL expert, and I find that almost laughable because every time she opens her mouth, she sounds like an idiot. But she said the one thing he needs to do is not get hurt, and then just keep going and being the leader and showing the importance in camp. And I'm like, these were all the things they said he deserved not to do when he was in Green Bay. The exact same person. When he was here in Green Bay, he's a veteran. He doesn't have to be. If that team doesn't know he's the leader and all that kind of crap, all the excuses they made for Rodgers when he was with Green Bay, now they're praising him for all the things that he's doing and actually showing up and doing something in camp, in the OTAs and the mini camps in New York. I find it hypocritical and laughable. So I do believe, though, in my heart of hearts, that Rodgers is going to have a hell of a year. I really believe that. I believe he's completely, fully, 100% invested in this season. And it may not even be for his own personal, well-being. It may just be, and not even for the Jets. It's to basically give the middle finger to the Green Bay Packers organization, Brian Gutekunst and company, to say, I don't need you. I told you I was that good. And if you go on and you enjoy your life with Jordan Love that can be mired in mediocrity, here I am in the Big Apple being the biggest thing and the biggest pond, and I'm going to be the savior to this franchise. And I'm going to do something that Brett Favre couldn't do, which is ironic because everybody says, well, the Jets were really the team that could probably, use the quarterback like Rodgers. They're the most suited, and that's true. But the one thing nobody took into consideration was Favre went to New York, and he was adequate. He really did. He just wanted to be there. It was a stepping stone. He wanted to go to Minnesota, and he wanted to come back and whoop Ted Thompson's ass. That's what he wanted to do. Rodgers, can you imagine if Rodgers, who also has won a Super Bowl in Green Bay, also has had more success, really, than Favre in Green Bay, and now he goes and makes the Jets a postseason success in New York and does that better than Favre did it? I mean, I know he's talked to Favre. I know they've chatted about what it's like to leave, and he picked his brain and got some advice, and I understand all of that. But Rodgers, in the back of his mind, has always wanted to be better than his predecessors, better than Bart Starr, better than Brett Favre. And I think there's a little bit of, I'll go to New York and show you how it's done, not only for the Packers and Gutekunst and everybody else that, said, hey, we're tired of your, diva-isms, but he's also going there to say, I even did this better than Favre did when Favre did this, 15 years prior. So I still think Rodgers is going to have a tremendous year. I just do. Grant, you think he's going to be fantastic, or you think that this experiment in New York is going to be a dismal failure?
I think he'll be really good, and I think he'll be a lot better than last year, which, in my opinion, is egg on Rodgers' face, not necessarily on the Packers, because if all we needed from Rodgers was for him to be invested and him to buy in and be 100% completely committed in camp and in OTAs with young players, well, he had the option to do that last year, and he didn't seem too interested in it. And I don't think that's the Packers' fault. That's something Rodgers has to live with. I think he'll be very good in New York. I think the Super Bowl talk is a little much. Bill.
Yeah.
I think if they make the playoffs and win a playoff game and become a viable, reasonable playoff team in the AFC, that will be an awesome accomplishment. And I think all their talk about adding another, trophy to the trophy case, that's setting expectations way too high, because I don't think that's reasonable.
Here's one thing that it's a completely off the wall question, and I can't believe I haven't been more observant than this. When did Rodgers get tattoos on his arm?
Was it last summer he got the astrology one with the lion? It might have been last summer. It all starts to run together, the Aaron Rodgers timeline of everything.
Because he's now got a tattoo of a Super Bowl trophy on his arm.
Really?
Yeah. In the picture, they've got him pulling up his sleeve on the Jets practice field. And he does have the astrology one up on the inside of his arm. He's got another one on the outside bicep of his arm. And then on the inside by the wrist, just above his wrist, is a Super Bowl trophy. I can't read what it says, but I just didn't remember Rodgers had all tatted up. But his left arm's got quite a few tats on it now.
Well, it's a representation of what's important to him, what matters to him.
Maybe the Super Bowl trophy's a wash off.
Maybe.
People said he didn't care about winning, so he put a Super Bowl trophy on his arm to say, see, I care about it. Maybe it says Super Bowl, and maybe in really tiny letters underneath it says MVP or something like that.
I'll show you what's important.
Right, exactly.
How does that sound?
877-867-1670. Find us, join us. We'd love to have you. 877-867-1670. Where did I see that? Go to Yahoo Sports, Pac fan. It's right there. It's a story on Yahoo Sports. Dan says got to be a henna tattoo. So, I don't know. But every year Rodgers gets doubted and then he bounces back and he plays really, really well. Kyle says Wilson sucked last year as well as Tannehill. Yeah, but Russell Wilson is one of those aging quarterbacks that had success and was, really good for a, period of time in Seattle. And watching him play It's almost like Russell Wilson just lost it. Just flat out lost it. And we've seen guys where they've kind of fallen off the cliff, but his arm strength looked off last year. His accuracy was off last year. And quite frankly, he looked like the guys around him wanted him, out of the organization. They didn't even really want to play with him or for him. But Russell Wilson, to me, Rodgers had a bad season. You could blame it on the thumb. You can blame it on the loss of Devontae and the new wide receivers and the fact that you never really got off to any kind of a start because Christian Watson couldn't participate in training camp. And then when he finally could play, he ended up getting hurt almost immediately and had the big drop on the first pass play of the regular season. Samori Toure just got into it. He got hurt. Romeo Doubs just got into it. He got hurt. It seemed like it was just a mishmash of who's going to be the pass catcher du jour. And there was never a rhythm there. And then the thumb gets broke. The season just seemed like it was always a power tug of war between Rodgers and whomever in the organization happened to be speaking that day. And it never got in sync. So I think Rodgers will have a bounce back year, whereas Russell Wilson got everything he wanted. Everything. And what they blamed it on was Nathaniel Hackett, was that he just didn't know what he was doing. He didn't understand being a head coach versus being an offensive coordinator or a quarterback's coach. He just didn't get it. And therefore he just wasn't a guy. But I just think Russell Wilson just fell off a cliff. But we'll find out this year. Go ahead.
It would be one thing if the Broncos went, 10-7 and they lost a couple of close games to the Chiefs and they just missed out on the playoffs. The AFC's competitive. It's like, okay, the Broncos are close, but the coach wasn't the right guy. They weren't even close, Bill.
Right.
Like Russell Wilson looked like he'd never played quarterback before. Don't tell me that's all the head coach. That roster's really good. Russ got everything he wanted, and you couldn't even be middle of the road. Don't put that all on Nathaniel Hackett.
Right. No, I completely agree with that. I wouldn't. I think Russell Wilson, when you ended up getting an insight into him doing, what was he doing? Knees, running up and down the plane and didn't give a damn about anybody on the plane but himself when he was talking about, I was running knees when he was doing the, when they were going over to London to play and the guys on the plane were complaining about it, saying we couldn't even rest because this guy's running up and down the aisleways. He's trying to be a leader, but really he's just being a pain in the ass and an annoyance, kind of like a 2-year-old. You just want to sit down and shut up. That to me was kind of more indicative of the way things went internally for the Denver Broncos last year via Russell Wilson. Let's do this. We're going to step out. We'll take a quick break. I'll grab that picture. I'll cut that picture out and then throw it out there because I know some people wanted to see that. So I'll pull that off of the Yahoo Sports page. Anyway, that being said, 877-867-1670, 877-867-1671. Hit us up. Please feel free to do so. Hey, I tell you what, they just announced a fall and holiday lineup over at the Irish Cultural Heritage Center. And my buddy Corey Webster does a fantastic job over there, right on West Wisconsin Avenue. If you are looking for holiday cheer, and I hate to point to Christmas now, God knows I am the anti-pointing to winter stuff right now. I hate it. But I have to give them props because they just posted a lot of concert activity coming up at the ICHC. Go to ICHC.net, whether it's for concerts, weddings, meeting space, you name it. Go to ICHC.net, 2133 West Wisconsin Avenue in Milwaukee. And to give my buddy Corey a call for tickets and all the information, 414-345-8800. And if you've never been to one of their concerts, it is a blast. I never thought I would like it. I went into it just wanting to see it for myself. And I was just blown away. 414-345-8800, 414-345-8800, or go to ICHC.net.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome to Pella.
Hi, it's come to my attention. I need new windows.
You do?
Hey, sweetie, what's this?
My art project.
Honey, it's rotten. We need to toss it.
Then why do we have to keep our rotten windows, Dad?
Well, you came to the right place. Pella has a limited lifetime warranty on our wood windows, so this doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back to the program. Good to have you, the Bill Michaels Show. We continue on as we continue on in this really nice Tuesday. I'll tell you this, though. God almighty, we need the rain. Holy mackerel. Grant, now you don't have to cut grass, do you?
Oh, no. I live in a fancy high-rise apartment building. All that is it's 2 floors, and it's I wouldn't call it fancy, but the lawn is taken care of.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Okay. Well, I don't get me wrong. I don't mind not cutting the grass, but I do enjoy doing the yard stuff and trimming everything and all that. I haven't had to do anything. Oh my God. It's just, you walk across my front yard, you can literally hear the grass crunch and it leaves footprints where you stepped. It's just that dry. Cause even when we had some rain that passed through here the other day, it didn't rain here. We got, a few puddles, and that was about the extent of it. There's just nothing, man. Oh man, oh man. I know we're not supposed to get rain again until Thursday. And then after that, it's like another 5 days before we're expecting rain after that. So, it's not good. Cause I haven't even been able to light a fire in the fire pit. Because normally I'll go out like tonight. Tonight's a great night. I am really looking forward. I got some running around to do, but I'm going to grill out tonight. I'm going to turn the TV on out back at the Tiki Bar, and I'm going to sit down and watch a Brewers game. I'm really looking forward to this tonight.
Oh,
that's my night.
That's tough to beat.
Right? What'd you say?
Tough to beat.
Tough to beat.
Yeah,
okay.
that's tough to beat.
So, but normally, like the game will end, or it'll be late in a game or something, and if it's pretty much a game that's in the bag, I can always turn the TV a little bit, and then I can go light a fire in the fire pit, throw a couple logs out there, sit there, drink something, smoke a cigar, and just enjoy the night. I have not been. I've been afraid to light a fire in the fire pit because all the grass in the area is just crunchy. I'm afraid that I'm going to light it, and then the whole neighborhood's going to catch on fire, and so I'm going to be all my fault. So. We desperately need the rain. Desperately need the rain here. As much as I love these beautiful days, don't get me wrong, we desperately need the rain. Holy mackerel. 877-867-1670. Real quick, Dennis says, my take on Jordan Love, I believe he's going to be good or better. Why? Because if Goody and LaFleur didn't believe in him, I believe they would have traded him by now or brought in a veteran back to back him up. I'm a lot more concerned about Joe Barry and Matt LaFleur than I am about Jordan Love. LaFleur with Aaron Rodgers last year had one of the worst red zone and short yardage offenses in the NFL. Now, here's the question, though, Dennis. And I know this is something that, LaFleur stood steadfast, and so did Aaron Rodgers. But as we came to find out, that you really couldn't take them at their word. And that was the fact that in some of those circumstances, the play calling was so weird. 3rd and 2 on the 12-yard line, and you're in shotgun 5 wide. Some of this stuff, it just didn't make sense. You're taking away a defense's ability to think, and therefore just pin their ears back and come after you because you're not even attempting to run football. You're not doing it with Rodgers. You're not even attempting to run the football. And you just don't know if that was LaFleur and very uncreative play calling, or if that was Rodgers just living in his Mike McCarthy comfort zone, like we had seen so many times before, So I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to say if it's Matt. I am anxious to see what kind of offense Matt LaFleur is going to throw out there. And whether it's creativity or just different looks or run differently because of either one, being a young guy, or two, a little more mobile guy. But I am interested in seeing that. The Joe Barry side of things, that I will go along with. That I'll go along with. Said the man as a defensive coordinator has been a total failure his entire career. He has little to no chance, as he says. He has little to no chance at becoming a top 10 defensive coordinator this year. As I've said many times, Goody has acquired enough talent to win the division and make the playoffs. The weakest links are Joe Barry and Matt LaFleur. The pressure better be more on them than just on Jordan Love. No, I think Jordan Love shares in that. And the reason being is Jordan Love is following not one, but 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. There was a bar, there's a level, a standard to live up to in Green Bay when it comes to the quarterback play. So I would think Matt LaFleur doesn't have the most pressure because Matt LaFleur, if it doesn't work out, he can always look at Jordan Love and go, he's a young up and coming quarterback who's trying to learn. And when they drafted him, we were excited about him, but I was excited because Goody was excited. Goody scouted him, told me all the positives, but it just turned out that he was wrong. And I've been trying to groom this guy now for 3 years, and he's just not getting it. He's not strong, whatever, So he's got a little leeway there. Joe Barry, I agree, he's on the hot seat. Because if this defense isn't aggressive, if this defense doesn't end up being much, and Goody believes, as many people believe, there's talent there, then Joe Barry, he won't even pack his bags. They'll just throw him out like an angry girlfriend wailing your stuff off of the balcony of the house. Just gone. They'll be throwing his stuff out the window. Get out, go, gone, don't come back, he'll be pulling out the Aaron Rodgers, lose our number thing, that type of stuff. So he'd be Gonski, without a doubt. So, but appreciate the email. Jack says that I believe that Jordan Love has more pressure than anybody after following Aaron Rodgers, and I would agree with that. This one's from Tony, Big Tony, by the way. Big Tony, I haven't talked to you in a long time, man. Where you been? Big Tony, Big Tony lives in Green Bay. Big Tony, his been a part of the program since I was at WTMJ from years and years and years and years ago on the Packers Network. He used to come and see us up at Curly's upstairs, the Curly's pub upstairs at Lambeau. So Big Tony, good to hear from you. He said, it's been a while. I think Jordan Love is going to begin a new era of average quarterback play in Green Bay, but they're still going to win because they're going to figure out you need the rest of the team to win and not just a top-level quarterback. I'm excited for the future and what the future holds. Oh, Big Tony had some heart issues. Haven't been around for a while, had some heart issues that had me down for about the last year and a half. My wife and family took care of me. I'm feeling much better now. Hope to see you when you come to Green Bay next week. Big Tony, I'll be in the RV. I'll let you know exactly where we're going to be. But come over to the RV, knock on the door, say hello. Obviously, I'll be on the air, so I'll get to you at a commercial break when I get a chance. But man, oh man, good to hear from you, buddy. And glad you're doing better. That's great. I was wondering where you went. You and Graham McDowell from over in Scotland was one of our other guys that used to email all the time. And Graham hasn't emailed in a while either, so I always worry about those guys. Let's do this. We're going to break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk to our buddy Chuck Freeman. Chuck Freeman from the Locked On Brewers podcast. We'll talk with him. Wade Miley down now on the 15-day IL. He's got the sore elbow. And should the Brewers be looking for a pitcher now? Do you now raise an eyebrow and go, do we need pitching? Or do you just stick with it and say we got to have a bat? And how much pressure is on the next 12 games, the next 4 series? You've got Philly, Atlanta, Cincinnati, Atlanta. How much pressure is on this team over the next 12 games, the next 4 series? We'll talk about that when we come back. And I will get that picture out there. I haven't got it yet. I had to run down the hall during the break, but I will get the picture out there as well. So stay tuned. Stick around. A lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. Talking with Chuck Freeman coming up next.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Quick Trip brings you quick, hot savings. We're making a splash this month with our Nature's Touch milk. Just $2.99 a gallon. All our 1 gallon, 2%, 1%, and skim Nature's Touch milk is on sale and ready to hit your fridge. Oh, how can you beat fresh, straight from our dairy milk that's ready for movie night milkshakes or to make those morning waffles extra fluffy? Hey, we got you covered with quick, hot savings only at Quick Trip.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Welcome back. Good to have you. So I posted the picture of Aaron Rodgers and the tats. And and what I did was I took the picture from Yahoo and I grabbed it, and it's just a regular picture. But when I took it and I enlarged it, it's not. It kind of looks like it from far away. It's not a Super Bowl trophy though. It's one of those. What did you call that tattoo from earlier, Grant?
Some astrology.
Yeah. Something like that. Some celestial thing, an orb on the end of a post or whatever. It's not a Super Bowl trophy. It looks like it from far away when you see that picture, but up close, it's like a astrology celestial thing. I don't know what the hell it is, but I really had to enlarge it to see it. But it does look like a Super Bowl trophy. Oddly enough, just thought I'd throw it out there. Let's bring him in now. Speaking of championships, that's our buddy, Chuck Freeman. And he is joining us from the Locked On Brewers podcast. You can see his stuff and hear his stuff over there. And Chuck's our guy. Go to Chuck Freeman, at Chuck Freeman, over there on Twitter as well. Chuck, how you doing, pal?
Michaels, I didn't see any pictures of you golfing on your traditional July vacation. What was up with that?
Well, my buddy Scotty, he's about ready to get a knee replacement, so he can't golf. So we didn't do much.
Oh,
we did a lot of drinking, a lot of sitting by the pool, a little bit of swimming, some cigar smoking, and some burning. And that was about it. We didn't do much beyond that.
Burning,
that's for
wow.
sure. Yeah.
Hopefully more controlled than a Canadian fire.
Yes. But you can still see the same amount of nasty smelling smoke coming off of my body. So yes, absolutely. Hey, Chuck, Wade Miley now down, man. I tell you, I thought this guy was going to be the X factor in all of this before it was all said and done. And does this change things if you're Matt Arnold sitting in the front office going, do we need to get a pitcher as opposed to a bat?
No, I still think they have enough pitching. And I say that because their bullpen is so great. I mean, who don't you trust out of that starting rotation? Probably Adrian Hauser, I would say. Colin Ray when he's up here. But I would say that no, I would not go out and get it. It's a 10-day thing. We'll see. And you know how those things go, especially with an arm. You never know how long that's going to last.
Mm-hmm.
They say 10 days initially, but that could 10 turns. Look at Brandon Woodruff was supposed to be back in June, and look where he is right now.
Right.
If we're talking August with him. So, no, that doesn't change a thing. They're so weak in right field and first base and third base. Very, very weak. extremely weak in right field. They need bats so badly in this lineup that, yeah, you don't want to, you got Miley as a bargain for $4.5 million for 1 year. I mean, just an amazing bargain this guy has been. Probably one of the best bargains in baseball. But you're gonna have to live without him, and I don't think you get another pitcher at this point. I just hope, again, as we move toward the August 1st trading deadline, I've heard people say, well, they need to trade, some of their pieces, their minor league pieces. No, don't do that, and don't trust this Jake Mezorowski kid who just got promoted to Biloxi, who throws 100. He was in Appleton for the last couple of weeks. I've heard some people stupidly say that he's some trade bait. No, don't. He's untouchable. So you're going to have to live with Miley being down. You get him back when you get him back, and you hope Woodruff is coming back in August, because that's like a trade acquisition right there.
Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this. I want to know, and I was talking with Grant about this earlier. I'll get your opinion. What is the fascination with hanging on to Rowdy Tellez?
Oh, gosh, none in my book, Bill. None in my book. He's a guy who they picked up a couple of years ago as a left-handed bat, platoon first baseman, worked himself, did a nice job as the everyday guy for a while. But, 219 and 35 home runs, that's just, for me, that's not good enough. And this year, whatever it is, 213 and 12 home runs, and he hasn't hit a home run since there was snow on the ground. That's pathetic. And so I'm good. I mean, you have to. I think if you're going to be a legit contender, and the door is open, I think, in the National League. Still, even with how good the Braves are, and you got the Dodgers there as well, you need to be strong at your corners. And not only is first base been weak, Bill, I think third base is just awful. I mean, Brian Anderson has made some great plays over at third. Urias is platooning now down in Nashville. He's not even the everyday third baseman down there.
Right.
So you're weak in both spots, really. And if I could get myself another first baseman, I thought maybe C.J. Cron of the Rockies, if he's available, I would love to have that guy. He's in his 30s. He had some power. I think he's better than what the Brewers have right now for sure. I don't know what it would take to get him, but yeah, first base. I would pretend you have a big hole at first base, because what Craig Counsell says the other day when Rowdy went, injured himself again, injured a finger, on the wall in Cincinnati. He said you're going to see a lot of Owen Miller. Well, Owen Miller at first base should not be your everyday first baseman.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all. So I think that's getting a first baseman should be a top priority, and a third baseman, and a right fielder.
Right. Now, I guess the next question is, as you start to look at the list of guys that possibly could be out there, what are the rumors that maybe you're hearing that the Brewers could find somebody that would fill the bill in those particular areas?
There's several guys who are out there right now, but, are they going to be moved? You hear the Cubs are going to be sellers as well. And as far as an outfield spot, with the Cubs being willing to move Cody Bellinger, who's he's not back to the Bellinger he was a few years ago when he was putting up MVP numbers, but certainly better than he's been the past couple of seasons. That might be an interesting route to go if the Cubs are willing to part with him. Cron over at first base. But you're playing Andrew Monasterio over at third base, and he had the big base hit on Sunday, but you can't go that route. I mean, if Anderson's on the injured list, and he's going to come back eventually here, but you need third and first baseman. And the guy, again, I really like is C.J. Cron from the Rockies. But so far, no rumors floated out. But I'm sure as we get closer, that deadline a few weeks away, players will start to move. Chapman really has been the only guy to, the big name out there to move so far. And he went from Kansas City to Texas a couple of weeks ago. So I'm sure we're going to see some movement and a lot of rumors. But the Shohei rumors, the rumblings that everybody wants on Twitter, Bill, it'd be great. You'd somehow find a spot for him in the order, but he's not coming here.
So, he's not going to come here. And the other thing is that guy, if you, first of all, he got hurt last night. You don't know what the severity is because he took that wild swing and ended up hurting one of the oblique muscles, and they're not sure if he's going to be down or not. So we're waiting to hear on that. But the other thing is you get him for a little bit, and then it's they're talking $500 million contract for him by the time it's all said and done, right?
Well, we got a stadium to pay for yet as well.
Right?
You'd have to put that all in one big loan, I'd say, if you're gonna get Shohei, you're gonna put that the Shohei and the stadium financing in one big loan, or financial packet, and start a lottery and see what the state thinks about that.
Right. Yeah, I just don't think that's happening.
No.
Chuck, let me ask.
One big $3 billion loan. How about that?
Oh yeah, no, that's when you go, public stock in the Brewers, and you try to get, people to start forking up the money for $500 million. So, hey, let me ask you this: how important is the next, 4 series and 12 games?
Well, they're in this stretch, and you touched on it there. The next 12 games, it was 15 before the Cincinnati series, but you got 6 more with the Reds. You got the 3 of the Braves coming up as well. Tough stretch. Phillies tonight. The Phillies are really playing good baseball, and they're facing their ace Aaron Nola, who can at times look like Cy Young, and at times can look like Billy Travers, the former Brewer. He's just bad sometimes. So he gave 3 home runs in his last start, but a huge stretch here. Playing good teams. The Brewers can't let down against the bad teams, as we know, and against the good teams. They haven't lost a series in a month with these guys. I mean, they're quietly playing some great baseball. You wouldn't know it if you watch MLB Network, because they never talk about the Brewers.
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, they're just playing some good ball, and this Atlanta series is going to be huge as well. The Braves, are running away with things in the National League East, but man, I'm looking forward not only this week, but the next 2 months of the baseball season. They've built a cushion on the Reds. They've Brewers. I was doubtful whether they were going to give 10 games over the 500 mark ever again this year. They have, and they've been playing solid baseball. But the almighty question with the Brewers, as we talk about every week, Bill, is do the Brewers have enough offense? Winning games 1-0 and 2-0 and 2-1. It's a tough way to live every day.
I was listening this morning. Some of the local talkers, they were talking about Christian Yelich, and they said, "Oh, he's back." For those that don't admit it, you're in denial. I won't admit it because I want to see it for an entire season, and we've had numerous seasons now of sub Christian Yelich style of baseball. At what point do you believe, or maybe you do believe, he is back?
Well, I'm with you, Bill. And I think we are in the minority because Christian has been bad for so long, and we're just hoping and praying that finding any glimpse of hope. Now, let's face it, since May he's been on fire. He has been great, but I like to see it do it over a whole season. There's been some weak at bats. I want to see the power numbers increase. He hit a couple of them this past weekend against Cincinnati, but keep it going. He's dropped that big leg kick, and he seems to be on looking really, really good right now. I just still feel, he's still not the Christian Yelich, the Freeman eye test, Bill, and the Michaels eye test seem to say he's still not the Christian Yelich from 18 and 19. Some people think he is. I'm not quite there with him either. Give me a bigger sample size and the rest of the season and the big moments. Christian, not only did he put up the big numbers back in 18 and 19, it was coming through in the big moments on a consistent basis that he always seemed to do. And I want to continue to see more of those in the next couple of months of the season.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing is I'm not knocking him. I'm just simply saying I'm not going to say he's back to being. Christian Yelich, when he was at his peak, was one of the most dangerous hitters in baseball. There was nowhere over the plate you could put it or around the plate that he wasn't going to hit it to one part of the ballpark or another and do it with power and authority, either on a line drive against the wall or putting it out of the ballpark. So for me to say he's back, it depends on what you qualify back as. If he's hitting 280 and at least living up to the contract, or if you're talking about a guy that hit 324 with 40 plus home runs, because he's not that guy. So I can't say he's back.
And Bill, he started off the season so slow. So he's like some 60 points higher than he was early. He's still digging out of that early season funk that what he is. So he's raised his average quite well considering where he started off with. But yeah, he was so good. And just the case with him and Bellinger, they were just so good. And I see Yelich going the opposite field a lot of left field shots. A lot of left field.
See, I agree with that. I agree with that, Chuck. The one thing is that when he goes to left field with authority, I love it. When he goes to left field because he's late on a swing, that isn't good.
Well, that's it. That's it. That's what I was going to tell you, Bill. I thought maybe is that Yelich going to left field, or is that he's just not getting the ball through the zone fast enough? Right. That's the big question. But he says he feels more comfortable with the plate and all that. And, he's a very low-keyed guy. He's not going to break a bat when he strikes out, which we all like to see guys do, to show some, he's very, matter-of-factly, that's how I am. I know you're not the same way. And, you just like to see a little more passion out of the guy from time to time when he does bad.
Yep, no doubt. Chuck, always good. We'll talk to you again next week, and hopefully we're talking about a whole lot of wins between now and then. I appreciate it, pal.
You got it, Bill. Thanks anytime.
All right, buddy.
One more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
You find my podcast, Locked On Brewers, on Spotify, Google, Apple, on all the major ones, and of course YouTube. Go to Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button there, hit the like button. Locked On Brewers on YouTube as well. You get the version 30 minutes Monday through Friday.
There you have it. That's the Locked On Brewers podcast. Our star, Chuck Freeman. Chucker, we'll talk to you soon, pal.
All right, Bill.
There you go, bud. That's Chuck Freeman. Good stuff. Good stuff. A lot of the same thoughts as we're going to creep closer and closer and closer to the ultimate trade deadline. See, I agree with him. Christian Yelich, he is tearing the cover off the baseball, no doubt about it. But some of the things that I'm still waiting to see, I'm kind of seeing glimpses of, but I'm not seeing fully. So for when people say, "Wow, he's back," what do you feel about that? It's like, okay, he's not hitting 324 with 40 something home runs. Right now, he's on pace to hit about 25, which is great. That's what I want. Just to give me the sense that, he would become if he does that consistently, if he hits 286 with 25 home runs and, 100 RBI and, 100, runs scored, I'm good with that. That's fine. That's earning your contract. Absolutely. He doesn't need to hit 324 because he got actually for what he signed for was less than the productivity he was putting out at the time. So I'm good with that. Not a big deal, man. 877-867-1670. I will respond to a comment on the live stream when we come back. Stay tuned. Got a whole lot more of the Bill Michael Show, and it's all coming up, and it's coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michael Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome to Paula.
Hi. It's come to my attention. I need new windows.
You do?
Hey, sweetie, what's this?
My art project.
Honey, it's rotten. We need to toss it.
Then why do we have to keep our rotten windows, Dad?
Well, you came to the right place. Pell has a limited lifetime warranty on our wood windows, so this doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
You got to hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket. Hit it, bang it, rock it, put it in the pocket.
You know, we're obviously all over the state of Wisconsin. We've got our network stations everywhere. And we are the biggest, the baddest, the best on the block. And one of the groups out there in La Crosse jumped on board and said, hey, we'd like to be a part of the motorcycle ride. So our friends at Buzzard Billy's and the Starlight Lounge on Pearl Street in La Crosse, Wisconsin, which opened up in 1997, if I'm not mistaken, back in that 1860s brick hotel. Beautiful place. Starlight Lounge upstairs, Buzzard Billy's downstairs. Two great places to go. And they are big supporters of veterans, our motorcycle ride and such, which is coming up on Sunday, September 3rd. So support them if you're in the La Crosse area, but thanks to them for supporting us and Fisher House, Wisconsin. And the odd thing is when we got into this discussion about it, they said, well, look, people in Milwaukee can't use the Fisher House. It's for people that would be coming from La Crosse. And they're absolutely right. They're absolutely right, because if you're within 50 miles of Fisher House, you don't stay there. You've already got a house. You're nearby. But this is for people outside of 50 miles of Milwaukee, whether you're in California, Alaska, or La Crosse. They wanted to be a part of it. So we said, come on board. And they did. And thanks to Buzzard Billy's and everybody there. And David's upstairs, Heather's downstairs, the two general managers. And thanks to Carmen and Rob and everybody for being a part of the program. So we appreciate it. Buzzard Billy's, Starlight Lounge, two great places, great food, great drinks, great cocktails right there in La Crosse, Wisconsin on Pearl Street. Make sure you stop in and tell them we sent you. So over on, and I don't know whose name this is because they don't have a name to their account, but it says regarding Christian Yelich, it says, Bill, now you're being nitpicky. If he puts the ball in play to the opposite field for a hit, and it still counts and better than a strikeout. Tough crowd. It depends on what you're being nitpicky about. If he puts the ball in play, falls for a base hit, you're absolutely right. It's a hit. You and I both know if you're slapping at the ball, you're dropping it into play, you're not a power hitter. Right? We can agree on that. Or you're not a dangerous hitter. You're just kind of a slap hitter. But if you're hitting the ball that direction and lining it because you're barreling up the ball and you're driving it down the line, it's finding gaps, then it's a different story. It's not being nitpicky. It's reality. Christian Yelich is on a tear. Absolutely. He's hitting the ball better, most likely going to hit more than the 18 and a half home runs that he was predicted to hit at the beginning of the season. And I'm all for it. I'm going to be wrong, but I'm going to be all for it because that means that he's playing well and he's an igniter. He's doing his part as opposed to what he's done the last couple of years. That's great. But as Chuck said, and I'll say here now, the eyeball test will tell you to say, oh, he's back. You're full of crap. Because when he was back, he was the most dangerous hitter in baseball. He could hit the ball anywhere at any time from any part of the plate and do it with power and authority. There are times this season, and when he goes to the left field side, where he just hasn't been able to catch up to the fastball, and therefore he just didn't get around on it quick enough. Even though he eyeballed it, he didn't get around on it quick enough to drive the ball. Therefore, the bat being late strictly through the strike zone is what caused the ball to go to left field. even on a ball that's dead nuts down the middle, right down Wisconsin Avenue. So it's not being nitpicky. I'm giving you reality. So that's all. But I'm not knocking Christian Yelich. For what he's done, I'm all for it, man. Right now, don't mess with him. Don't talk to him. Don't look at him, because he's starting to climb out of this, and I'm all for that. But for me to say he's back, go back to at least giving me 30-plus home runs, hitting 290-plus on the consistent, and do it for a year or so. But right now, he's earning his paycheck, because a guy that would do what he's doing right now on the consistent would be a $35 million guy. Right? So hang in there, man. I'm all for it. More of the Bill Michaels Show. Another hour yet to go.
This is a Wisconsin Sports Zone update.
Well, the Brewers going to be back in action tonight as they open a series in Philadelphia. Milwaukee enters having won 4 straight and 5 of their last 6. It has them sitting in first place in the NL Central by 2 games on Cincinnati. Phillies come in sitting in third place in the NL East, but have won 3 straight and 7 of their last 10. Aaron Nola going to be on the bump for Philly. He's 8-6 on the year with a 4.39 ERA. Brewers going to counter with Julio Teheran. He's 2-3 with a 3.64 ERA. Meanwhile, Brewers going to be without one of their starters for a little bit. Wade Miley placed on the injured list yesterday with elbow discomfort. He was scheduled to pitch tomorrow. No replacement has been named yet. First pitch tonight is set for 5:40.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Rural Mutual Insurance is a proud sponsor of the Wisconsin State Fair. As a thank you for your support, they're giving away State Fair tickets. Visit ruralmutual.com/win and enter to win State Fair tickets.
Rural Mutual Insurance, keeping Wisconsin strong.
Well, the Packers are just days out from the first of their players reporting for training camp. Quarterbacks, injured players, and rookies due to arrive on Friday. The rest of the team going to join them a week from today. The first of 13 practices over to the public going to take place next Wednesday, and we'll get underway at 10:30 in the morning. Packers will hold their annual family night on August 5th. Their first preseason game, August 11th at Cincinnati. Turning to the Badgers, they're also getting closer to fall camp going. They will be holding that first week in Platteville beginning on August 2nd. Before that, though, the Big Ten will hold its media days down in Indianapolis next week. All 14 teams going to be represented, including the Badgers. Wisconsin announced recently that Braylon Allen, Tanner Mordecai, and Mumajong Mehta would be there along with Coach Luke Fickell. Wisconsin opens the season September 2nd against Buffalo. With this Wisconsin Sports Zone Network update, I'm Zach Heil, Print.
Good to have you. Bill Michaels Show on this beautiful Tuesday. Hanging out with you. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. You want to find us, feel free. Give us a shout. This portion of the program, by the way, this portion brought to you by our friends at Kane and Kane Jewelers. They're in West Bend. Andy Kane has the podcast, Buy Like a Guy. You can go to Kane, K-O-E-H-N, KaneJewelry.com, KaneJewelry.com. And at the bottom of the page, you can see Andy's podcast link there. But if you're looking for jewelry, whether it's engagement rings, anniversary rings, gifts for your bridesmaids, groomsmen, whatever, they got it all. Go to Kane and Kane Jewelers in West Bend. They want to rock your world. Kane, K-O-E-H-N, KaneJewelry.com. That is KaneJewelry.com. Good stuff. This is Mark, who says Christian Yelich is on a tear right now. What would it take for you to believe that he is back? I firmly believe he is back. If you want to believe that, that's fine. I'm not going to argue with you about it. I'm just simply saying that when he got the contract, if you go to Christian Yelich and you look up his statistics, he got it the year that he got the kneecap injury, and he was hitting over 300, approaching 40 home runs. He was one of the most dangerous hitters in baseball for a 2.5 year span. Right now, he is a good hitter. I'm not doubting that. Is he one of the most dangerous hitters in baseball? No. He's not. Right? But he's playing, he's hitting offensively really good. I'm not taking anything away from him. It's just there's some people that want to believe that Christian Yelich, oh, he's back, he's Christian. But you just look up his stats. That's all. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You look at the year he in 2017. Okay, he was with Miami. Hit 282. 282, 18 home runs, 81 RBI. Had an OPS of 807, right? Fantastic. That's a good year. The next year, he comes to Milwaukee, gets traded here. Hits 326, an on-base percentage of 402, slugging percentage damn near 600, 598, an OPS of 1.0, and 36 home runs. That's crushing it, man, right? The next year, 2019, played 130 games, hit 329. Now, the year before, he won the MVP. Hit 329. Backed it up. 429 on base percentage. 671 slugging percentage. 1.100 OPS with 44 home runs. 80 home runs in 2 years. 80. Okay? He's hit 48 in the last 4. So I'm not knocking what he's doing. He's hitting 286 right now. He's got an 850 OPS, but an 850 OPS is a far cry from a 1.1 OPS. A 476 slugging percentage is a far cry from a 671 slugging percentage. 378 on base percentage is still 50 points lower than the 429 on base percentage that he got when he got the contract. Batting 286 is a far cry from 329. Those are great numbers that he's doing right now. I'm not knocking that. But for the people that say, he's back. Yeah, he's back. He's not hitting 252 or 248 or, God forbid, 205. He's gotten steadily better since the kneecap. So, but if he continues to get better, say he ends up with a 290 batting average this year, and then next year comes out and he's on fire again, and he gives you, then I'll go, you know what? He's back. He's Christian Yelich. He might have tapered off a little bit from those 2 spectacular seasons, but he's back. He's firmly back. I'll go right along with you. But it has to be average and power, because that's what he was giving you. He gave you 80 home runs in 2 years. He hasn't come close to that in the last 4. So you can talk about slugging percentage and all this. That's fine. But the bottom line is the numbers, the actual numbers. How many home runs has he hit right now? 13. We're more than halfway through the season. He's hit 13. So basically he's on pace to do what, 25? That is a far cry from 44. A far cry from 36. In the home run numbers. In those power numbers. In doubles? Hell yeah. He's giving you 20 doubles. He had 29 doubles in 2019, 34 in 2018. Those numbers, hitting to the alley? Yeah, I'll take that every day of the week. I won't knock those. But again, it was this guy, you just couldn't get it by him. If it was near the strike zone, he was going to pluck it somewhere. That's all I'm saying. So you can argue with me all you want, but the power numbers and those numbers I just gave you, they're not even in comparison right now. So anyway, just wanted to throw it out there. Ryan says if he's back with bases loaded this year, he's 3 of 13, no doubles, no triples, no home runs, only 7 RBIs. Thomas says people are just getting used to the stinky Yelich, so it looks really good right now, like an MVP. And you know what? He's still putting up good numbers. Again, I'm not knocking Christian Yelich, and he becomes the lightning rod because he's the superstar of that team. Christian Yelich he's the least of your worries right now. You know? Johnny says, live in Colorado the past few years, would like to see the Brew Crew try to pick up Rockies first baseman CJ Cron before the deadline. Your thoughts? He can really rake. I'd do that in a heartbeat. I do that in a heartbeat. My thoughts are, yes, I do that in a heartbeat. We talked about him last year, as a matter of fact. I do that in a heartbeat, no doubt. 877-867-1670. Scott says, with Yelich, how much does this really matter? His 2 big years he hit between Kane and Braun. Those 2 years, Kane was good enough yet to be an all-star. Braun was declining, but no one was pitching around Yelich to get to Braun with runners on base. My opinion, Kane's decline and Braun's retirement didn't help Yelich's productivity. Absolutely agree. I would agree with that. No, everything matters prior to the knee injury. I mean, he was raking before the knee injury. The next year, he still had the same people around him. Just turned out to be garbage. Kane decided not to play, and Braun was on his way out. So yeah, but I'd absolutely, I would say Christian Yelich is by far the least of your worries right now, without a doubt. John says, trade Winker. What are you going to get for Jesse Winker? Unless you find a general manager that says, you know what, maybe the grass is greener here. Nah. No. Jesse Winker was on the decline in Seattle, hasn't done anything in Milwaukee, and even the power numbers are just non-existent. There's no value there. Not unless you're just looking for a team that just is desperate for, and even if you're desperate for a bat, you're talking about the Brewers who are desperate for a bat. So, what are you going to get for Jesse Winker? Yeah, it's just not going to happen. He's hitting in about as friendly a division as he can possibly hit in, and he's not giving you anything. So if Jesse Winker's going to get DFA'd, that's going to be what happens. He's just going to be let go.
Bill, if your car breaks down and you need a ride to work, you don't call your friend who doesn't have a car for the ride. If you need a bat, you're not calling the Brewers, especially if you need a DH. Jesse Winker is coveted by no one.
Yeah, it's not that's not gonna happen. Yeah, and people say, well, pair him with Urias. You're not gonna get anything. There's no value. He's the boat anchor that's coming along. Nobody's gonna want to pay him. For what? He's hitting in the most hitter-friendly division there is, and he's not putting up power numbers. So there is no reason to think that he is going to have any kind of value. I guess if you got a bag of practice balls at this point that you want to get rid of, maybe.
New air conditioner for American Family Field.
I don't even
air conditioner.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen. You're not going to get an air conditioner for him. No. Not even, I don't even think any air conditioning representative company in the area. Can you see like Train saying, hey, we'll take Jesse Winker off your hands and we'll put a new air conditioning unit on top of American Family Field? That's not going to happen. They're going to be like, Jesse Winker? Nah, we'd rather take your check. Do you have 2 forms of ID, please? Thank you very much. Cheddar Balls, the hitter they're going to pick up with, we'll be calling up Keston Hiura. He's going to hit 225, and that's your move, improving the lineup. Wouldn't surprise me if they call you Keston Hiura up. Why not? You can take a shot at it. At some point, if you're going to need that extra bat, why not? But Keston Hiura is going to, he'll know. I mean, come on, they've DFA'd him once, and then he came back. If he comes up again and he doesn't do anything, then that's pretty much it for Keston Hiura. He'll be off to another team franchise somewhere. And because you how many times you go to that well where you come up dry? I will say this, though. If he hits 225 and gives you any kind of pop, it's going to be better than what Rowdy Tellez is giving you. It is actually an upgrade. You hate to say it, but it is. That's true. So cheddar balls, you can kind of make fun of it and say that in a backhanded kind of tongue-in-cheek kind of way, but it's better than what you're getting out of the first base position. It's, if you look at it in its entirety. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. I tell you what, let's do this. We're going to step out, take a quick break, come back. Got a whole lot more of the Bill Michaels Show coming up next.
Ready? This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome to Pella.
Hi, it's come to my attention. I need new windows.
You do?
Hey, sweetie, what's this?
My art project?
Honey, it's rotten. We need to toss it.
Then why do we have to keep our rotten windows, Dad?
Well, you came to the right place. Pella has a limited lifetime warranty on our wood windows, so this doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you. Good discussion today. Bill Michaels Show continuing on. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill right there on Pewaukee Lake. And a great place to go, by the way, but they always have something going on when it comes to raffles and charity events. And if you're looking for tickets to something, Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill in Pewaukee Lake, Lakeview Boulevard to be exact. the home of the Pig Porker Sandwich. And Ryan and the staff over there are just great people. It's a fun place to go to. A lot of the crowd knows everybody when you walk through the door, so there's always the heads that turn, but you go in and just sit down and enjoy yourself. You feel right at home. And that's Curly's Waterfront Sports Bar and Grill on Pewaukee Lake. Stop in, tell Ryan and the staff that you heard it on the Bill Michaels Show. Good people over there. Real good people over there. I got an email here. This one is this is from Jake. Jake says, hey, Bill. He says, I believe Christian Yelich is back because I believe this is as good as he's going to get. I don't believe he's going to get much better than this. If he does, I'm going to be somewhat surprised. But for where he was to where he is now, I will say he's back. Will he ever be what he was during his MVP seasons? I don't think so. Under that, so what you're doing is you're lowering the bar. So, okay. Then I can go along with that. I can see the philosophy in that. Sure. But again, that's why I say, when I say he's back, I'm looking at the consistency and I'm looking at to where he was to where he is. So there's still a ways to go, but absolutely I can go along with that. I'll agree with you on that. That's probably a more understandable way mentally for what you've done. You've basically lowered the standard by which you are going to judge whether or not he's back. So sure, I'll go along with that. And it's a huge improvement. You know, and like I said, when you look at his numbers from a couple of years ago, I mean, everything since that season, since that 329, 44 home run season, okay? Because where he was prior to those 2 years, he was 21 home runs, 18 home runs, and then since then it was 12, 9, 14, and 13. 13 this year. So he's kind of back to where he was prior to the two superstar years. So in that case, yeah, he's back. Okay. I can go in that sense. And if he continues to play this way, and I'll say this, even the arm strength looks better. It's still not great. Don't get me wrong. He's never going to be, he's never going to be Dave Parker in an all-star game going up against the right field wall, throwing a BB to home, 325 feet in the air to gun down a runner. He's never going to be that guy. But where he was last year, where you could barely get a ball into the shortstop who was out in left field trying to play cutoff, and he bounced it to him. And you're thinking, what the hell is that lollipop? Even his arm strength is better this year. So okay, I'll give you that. I can go along with that. 877-867-1670. If you got an opinion, hit us up, 877-867. Michael says, hey, what about Christian Yelich? Yes, is he back? No, the rest of the team sucks. Michael, you're too easy. That's shooting fish in a barrel, man. The rest of the team doesn't suck. How can you say a team sucks when they're 2 games up in first place? You can't say that the rest of the teams, because they're doing more right than they are wrong. They're 10 games over 500. 52 wins on the season. 52 wins. The same amount of wins as San Francisco, the same amount of wins as Arizona. Better than the Boston Red Sox, even though the Red Sox are 8 games out. Better than anybody in the American League Central. The same as the Houston Astros, who were considered to be a World Series contender. 52, 10 games over 500. How can you say that everybody else sucks? So 52 wins came in the back of Christian Yelich. That's a little bit of an over-dramatization, if you will. Don't get crazy on me. Don't get crazy. What else do we have here? This is Justin. Justin says, hey, guys, have you talked much about Jordan Love and the accuracy he didn't have in training camp? Well, when you say training camp, are you talking about the mini camps? Or are you talking about the OTAs? Or are you talking about from last season? He says, I've seen Jordan Love a couple of different times, and he doesn't look like he's going to be the most accurate passer He's not going to be able to put it into tight windows. His arm strength is not the same as what we're accustomed to seeing in both Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. I think he's going to be okay, but okay is not going to get it done in this division. It will be good enough to maybe get you a wild card at best. I think at the end of the season, we're going to be left wondering whether or not they should or should not go after a quarterback or continue to develop somebody who is never going to get better. That's from Justin. It's kind of like when the Bucs were spinning their wheels for years, where they were just on the outside looking into the postseason, and they were drafting always middle to the end of the pack, and you weren't really getting the superstar, but you weren't getting anybody that was really going to contribute. You weren't getting the worst guys that were going to make you worse. So you just kind of hung around, and you stayed mediocre, and you stayed in the middle, and you always had a little hope, but you never caught lightning in a bottle. And you know, at some point so what you're saying is you're either going to have to S or get off the pot at the end of this season. You got to go one direction or the other. You're either all in or you're all in the opposite way. And that's trying to find another quarterback. Okay. I can understand that. Because at the end of the season, the worst thing in the world would be to have him have a mediocre year. The Packers end up with 8 wins. You're not quite sure where the team actually is. The defense played okay, but not great. The offense played okay, but not great. You're not quite sure what it is you desperately need. Let's go to Mark, listening to us in Milwaukee. Mark, how you doing today, man? What's going on?
Great, Bill. Thanks for taking my call. Continuing on the Brewers conversation, in your opinion, because I know we do need first, like Chuck Freeman was saying, we need somebody at first, we need somebody at third, and right field. Who, in your opinion, would be tradable, seeing that we need bats, but yet we don't have bats? So, and kind of adding on to that, in my opinion, the only thing that would be any of value to any other team would be our pitching staff, and I know that it's kind of untouchable. So,
well, it depends on what you're going to get.
Your comments off the air, but
no, thanks so much.
Thanks for taking my call, buddy.
No, appreciate it. It depends on what. Now, if you believe that, let's see here. If you think that Woodruff and Miley are close to coming back, like they just need a little time and they're going to be okay, then you have quite a few guys that you can. Now, you don't want to get rid of, guys that are controllable for a long period of time, but, would you say part with a Colin Ray or an Adrian Hauser? Would you go in that direction? I was surprised Uribe got up that quick. Do you go in a different direction? Do you go down to the minor league system and say, pull out some of the guys that are in the minor league system that could possibly really, help another team in that sense? Do you give up, say, guy, if you get a guy that starts pitching well, like Jason Alexander, do you go in that direction? I mean, he's 30 years old, right? I think he's 30 years old. Do you give up one of those guys? Do you go a little bit deeper? Do you say, you don't want to give up a lefty, but do you give up the praise of a lefty like an Ethan Small? You package a few of the younger guys together that's had a little bit of experience, that's had a little bit of show. If you do that, it depends on the size of bat you're getting back, the prolificness of the bat you're getting back. But yeah, most teams are going to be looking for pitching. You're actually, now I'll say this. If, let's say, you do not believe that Woodruff is going to come back, like that is a massive question mark. You just don't think he's going to be back. And you're starting to go, holy crap. Because Woodruff, remember, just like Corbin Burns, he's coming up to contract. You got to pick somebody to pay. Do you all of a sudden turn around and pay Corbin Burns, who had a little bit of an off season to this point? Woodruff hasn't done a ton. He's been banged up. He's been, out with that strain. So if you're not going to get Woodruff back, and Wade Miley looks like he's just going to be up and down because he just can't stay healthy on the continuum, do you then say, I'm not giving up any pitching? And you're just strictly going to maybe go to a couple of prospects in the minors and hope to get a singular bat, and then you start bringing other guys up? Do you go in that direction? I think it's really for the knowledge inside the organization. You really got to know if Woodruff and Miley are going to come back to help you. And if you don't believe either or only one is coming back, then I think you hold tighter to your pitching staff, or at least to pitchers that are capable of helping you, because God knows with the amount of, when you start to look at the injuries on this team, you got Ruff, Tellez, Anderson, Garrett Mitchell, Aaron Ashby, Wade Miley, Brandon Woodruff, Cousins, Sosa, Wilson, Justin Wilson. I mean, you just got all these guys that have been just banged up since the beginning of the season, going all the way back to the beginning of the season. And then you've had guys that have come up and come down, and right now, if you look, you got 10 guys, 10 guys I just named off. That's not including the guys that have gone up and come down throughout the season. That's how banged up this team has been. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670. Grant, would you give up pitching? Would you give up a couple of minor leaguers for a bat at this point?
Minor leaguers, maybe. The thing about the Brewers is they've had good pitching, and they continue to have good pitching year after year because they keep that pipeline stocked. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like Aaron Ashby's on his way. You hope Ethan Small and Robert Gasser. They just always have the next guy. And I worry that, especially with Corbin Burns and Brandon Woodruff being on their way out, you trade one of those prospects, and a team with really good starting pitching all of a sudden doesn't have much starting pitching. I don't think you can fix this offense by just making one transaction. So I would rather just leave it and not bother and hold on to your pitching.
Yeah, you need at least, I don't know if I'd go as far as to say 2 bats, but you need probably 2 bats.
And one of them's probably, they need 3. Bill.
Right. Well, if you go right field, first base, and third, yes. If you get 2, you'd like to fix your right field position and your first base position. Those are probably the 2 most dire. But 2 bats, if you put 2 more solid bats, you can run out a decent lineup. You can run out a lineup that's at least formidable. The lineup they had Friday night against the Reds was relatively formidable. You could at least run that lineup out there. You had Christian Yelich, who was hitting 286. You had, William Contreras was out there hitting 270 something. You had Victor Caratini, who was catching because Contreras was DHing. So you had a 254 guy. You had Montessario, who was hitting 260 something. So you had at least a few people that were in the lineup that were okay. And if you had 2 more bats that say 265 or better, at least you've got a relatively formidable lineup. But
offensively speaking, the Brewers realistically could trade for a DH and solve that problem. Mm-hmm. And then I think they got to hope that Rowdy Tellez comes back and is productive. Because I don't know if there's an easy fix for first base, and I don't know if the Brewers can pay the price for a good hitting first baseman. So I think if they could address DH and just get a fresh bat, a new bat into the lineup, and then cross their fingers that Rowdy Tellez does okay and comes back, I think that's the best case scenario, the most realistic path for the Brewers.
By the way, the Brewers making a move today. They called Trevor McGill, the righty. He's been recalled from AAA Nashville. He's been called up to take over where Wade Miley left off. So that was the after putting Miley on the 15-day DL. So the righty Trevor McGill recalled from AAA Nashville. That just came across the wire just a couple of minutes ago. Let's do this. We're going to step out, take a quick break. We got a lot more to get to, and we'll come back, get into the discussion. Hey, our friends over there at Masters Ease, I want to remind you that we still a lot of summer left, a lot of outdoor time left, and some of the prices, wink, wink, coming down just a bit, but Masters Ease, they are high quality. People come from all over the state and outside of the state to get this stuff if you're coming from Northern Illinois. But they're on Blue Mountain Road in Brookfield. Patio furniture, umbrellas, They've got fire pits, and everybody loves fire pits in the fall anyway. So fire pits, both gas and wood. They still have grills and grill accessories and such. But if you're thinking about the indoor sports, come football time and you got the big screen going and you're looking for a shuffleboard or a table game or a pool table, they have it all. And they're big supporters of the motorcycle ride. Get a hold of the gang out there. Call 262-746-5931. Masters Ease on Blue Mountain Road in Brookfield. All the in-store specials right there at your fingertips. 262-746-5931. 262-746-5931. And make sure you tell them we sent you.
This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Looking for a hot ride this summer? Find yours this July at Potawatomi. You could win your share of $400,000 in cash and prizes, or rumble all summer long in one of 4 brand new Harley-Davidson motorcycles. It's the Hot Ride Motorcycle Giveaway this July, only at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. Visit paysbig.com/hot ride for more details. Must be 21 and a club member to play.
Quick Trip brings you quick, hot savings. We're making a splash this month with our Nature's Touch milk. Just $2.99 a gallon. All our 1 gallon, 2%, 1%, and skim Nature's Touch milk is on sale and ready to hit your fridge. Oh, how can you beat fresh, straight from our dairy milk that's ready for movie night milkshakes or to make those morning waffles extra fluffy? Hey, we got you covered with quick, hot savings only at Quick Trip.
Bill Michaels will resume in 5 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 4 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
We are excited this year, and that's because the motorcycle ride is going back to Stoll's Old 109 up in Watertown. And not only is it a great ride and just a great area, but they're great people, and it's a fun place. And that is going to be one of the stops on the motorcycle ride this year. Stoley's Hog Alley had a huge gathering during the Harley-Davidson 120th anniversary and the homecoming celebration, no doubt. I mean, that place was packed. Drove past there a couple of different times and just teeming with people, which was awesome. And people upstairs taking advantage of the new patio and the renovation and such, which they just loved it. But we're excited to go back to Stoll's Old 109 in Watertown on County Road R. And with all the TVs and the live music and the patio and the garage doors and everything they have, they just open up and make the outdoors come inside. Just awesome stuff. Great atmosphere, inside, outside seating. Really looking forward to it. Two terrific places to support, whether you ride or you don't ride, doesn't matter. Stoley's Hog Alley in Lake Country, out in Oconomowoc on Venice Beach Road, or Stoll's Old 109 in Watertown on County Road R. Both places, fantastic. Good stuff. Jeffrey says that, let's see here. First of all, he says, Yelich is a good player. We have definitely seen the best of his career. The way the contract works in baseball, all we can do is cheer him on and hope for the best, which, Jeffrey, I 100% agree with you. Bill says, is it just me? It seems how people are talking. Making the playoffs by the wild card is such a downer or a bad thing. If we can make the playoffs with love, it'll be a successful first step in his future. I always have high expectations for the Packers, but I am still realistic on the Packers this season. No matter how they make the playoffs, this will only shoot them forward for the next season. Again, it just depends on how it all comes about. Does it come about because everything is just, they're going through a few growing pains, a few turnovers here and there, but otherwise things look good and they're progressing and the defense is keeping you in ball games and giving you some turnovers and giving the offense more bites at the apple and they just win 9-10 games? Or is it that the defense plays extremely well and the offense sucks and the defense wins you just enough games, but yet your offense is one of the lowest scoring offenses on average in football? Is it because the new wide receivers and the second-year wide receivers just haven't quite gotten it yet? Is it because your tight ends just haven't quite gotten it yet? And you can see progress, but you're not getting there. Or is it because continual drops, fumbles, turnovers, bad reads by your quarterback? It's all in the eyeball test. It's all in how you get from point A to point B. That's where I'm at. I mean, I don't know where anybody else is, but we'll know. You're not stupid fans. You're not uneducated. You get it. You'll look at it. You can say 95% of fans can look at it and say, this is what it is. I get it. Okay. You can get frustrated about certain plays and we get emotional because you've got a hope and a vested interest in it. Absolutely. But in the grand scheme of things, most of us can look at it and go, okay, we can see if it's a Ferrari. We can see if it's a Chevy Chevette. We can see if it's a Corvette, or we can see if it's a polished turd. We all know. So we'll just wait for the eyeball test before we make any final decisions. That's all. 877-867-1670, 877-867-1670 if you want to hit us up. please go ahead and do so. By the way, coming up in the next segment, we have the mighty return of What Did We Miss? We have mighty return of What Did We Miss? And we got some buy or sell too coming up. So we got good stuff. Got some good stuff. We can all put it all together. So let's do this. We'll extend that segment by a couple of minutes. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break. We will come back and we will get back into it. Before we get out of here today, Grant and I will kind of discuss some of the things that maybe we didn't get a chance to discuss. And we will talk about some of the things maybe we did get a chance to discuss. Stay tuned. We got a lot more of the Bill Michaels Show. It's all coming up right after this.
Covering Wisconsin sports like a blanket. This is the Bill Michaels Show on the Wisconsin Sports Zone Radio Network.
Welcome to Pella.
Hi, it's come to my attention. I need new windows.
You do?
Hey, sweetie, what's this?
My art project?
Honey, it's rotten. We need to toss it.
Then why do we have to keep our rotten windows, Dad?
Well, you came to the right place. Pella has a limited lifetime warranty on our wood windows, so this doesn't happen again.
Thank you.
Visit PellaWI.com today.
Bill Michaels will resume in 3 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 2 minutes. Bill Michaels will resume in 1 minute. Bill Michaels will resume in 30 seconds.
Good to have you back. We continue on Bill Michaels Show. Hey, by the way, got to say thanks also. Speaking of our friends out to the western portion of the state of Wisconsin, Every Plumbing and Heating and Air Conditioning, serving La Crosse and Trempealeau, Monroe, Vernon, and Jackson counties, founded by a Korean War veteran, Clayton Everett, back in 1969. They are a military family, third generation now, as a matter of fact, when it comes to Every Plumbing and Heating. And if you need their services, call them 608-783-2803. 608-783-2803. Or if you are looking for a job, they are hiring right now. So because they continue to expand, they got a great rating. People continue to call them, and they are taking on more staff. So I'll call Craig. Craig's the guy that's got it now. His dad had it. Before that, it was Clayton who had it. Now Craig's got it, third generation. 608-783-2803. And thanks to Every Plumbing and Heating out in La Crosse and Trempealeau, Monroe, and Vernon counties, everybody all out there. Thanks to them for being a part of the program. It is time. It is time now to bring in one young Grant Bills and see what you've got. Now, are we doing what did we miss or buy or sell?
Well, I think we should do buy or sell first. We can do what did we miss at the end.
Okay, let's do that. Let's start with some buy or sell. Do you have music for this by any chance?
Oh, Bill, I don't do anything halfway. Give me it's time for buy or sell.
It's time now for buy or sell. Oh, that's grand. Look,
Bill, in the world of sports,
I got chills.
There's a lot of hot takes, analysts, pundits, you know it.
Right.
It's a world filled with trash. But today we're not interested in those hot takes. Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless. We want to know what the big unit has to say today. So, Bill, I will ask you, and I will only ask you once before we get going. Are you ready for buy or sell?
I am ready. I've always loved it. I've always enjoyed it. And now it's back and better than ever. I can't believe I just said that because that sounds like a Mike Greenberg thing. And I shouldn't be wearing pants behind the desk, hoping that Aaron Rodgers is my quarterback. But there you go.
Wow. All right, here we go.
Buy or sell.
Let's start with the Brewers. They're in first place in the NL Central. They're leading the Reds by 2 games. Brewers fans, at least from what I hear, they're bought in on this team contending for the playoffs, but not necessarily for a World Series. So, Bill, buy or sell, Brewers fans would be invested in this team as a World Series contender, and this season would look a lot different if not for the injuries to Garrett Mitchell, Brandon Woodruff, and Aaron Ashby.
I'm buying that. If Woodruff was healthy, Ashby healthy, hell, even Miley, Garrett Mitchell, it was like everything came crashing down when Mitchell went down. I don't know if it was youthful exuberance. It seemed like it just made the outfield relatively dysfunctional, and the right field positions really never regained. I mean, center field with Weimer, what he's done has been fantastic, and he's just as good in right field. Between Garrett Mitchell, between the speed of Yelich, Mitchell, and Weimer in the outfield was, you weren't hitting anything into the gap. It was just unbelievable. So, yes, I'm buying that this team would be drastically different if had those injuries not fallen upon our beloved Milwaukee Brewers.
I know it's not my job to give opinions here, but I also will add he's a good-looking guy, and I miss him being out there. He was good. It was nice to see him out on the field. So I also agree with you. I'll add that reason in.
Buy or sell.
The Los Angeles Angels owner Artie Moreno has said repeatedly not trading Ohtani if they're in the playoff hunt. But the Angels are 3-7 in their last 10 games, and Mike Trout's going to miss a few more weeks with a broken wrist. A few small market teams, Bill, have been building things the right way this season. The Diamondbacks, the Orioles, the Mariners, the Reds. Buy or sell, you think it would be worthwhile for one of these young ascending teams to rent Shohei Ohtani for the next 2 months?
It would be, and here's the reason why. If you believe that you are one dynamic player away, not only, I mean, look at the Reds. They could use, obviously, pitching, and in that ballpark, they could use a bat. I'd go all in on an Ohtani and rent him. If you believe that you are right there on the cusp, certainly their offense is awesome. But if you believe you need one, or maybe you're going to trade for another starting pitcher somewhere along the way, and Ohtani, I'd do that in a heartbeat. And the reason being is this organization, the Brewers, did not know winning until CC got here. And then he elevated, he did high tide raises all ships. And all of a sudden everybody went, that's how you act when you want to be a winner. Oh, okay. And then since then, it's been an organization with high expectations. So if I'm some of these small market teams that need a little bit of pitching or need a stick, and I've got a guy that I can get and can do both, you better damn believe I would be going after Ohtani. I'm not going to overpay for him and risk all of my future, but if I think I'm right there on the cusp. I'm going for it. You bet.
I agree. Same goes for me, double.
Buy or sell.
Really quick, we haven't talked about the Badgers today. It's been 8 months since Chris McIntosh hired Luke Fickell. This network, we spent hours, Bill, talking about the job that he's doing, his successes, his shortcomings in recruiting. He hasn't even coached a game yet. So forget the media, forget the pundits. Buy or sell, the majority of Badger football fans will consider this season a failure if Luke Fickell's Badgers aren't playing in the Big Ten championship game in Indianapolis.
Ooh, that's a great question. I think no. I'm gonna sell on that. I think if he's not, if they are not playing for the Big Ten champ. Now it's the eyeball test. Let's say they just look ugly. They look dysfunctional. They look like they just don't get it. Then I would say yes, they would be incredibly disappointed. But if it's just a matter of, hey, he's got some talent, but there's more talent in the pipeline, let's see what he has next year, and things look to be getting on the right track, then I think fans are going to be okay with it. There will be a large group of people that will be disappointed, but not condemning disappointed. You know what I mean? It's one thing like to say, yeah, boy, that was tough, but we're on the right path. It's another thing to say, that was ugly, you suck, and we made a terrible decision, this is awful. So I think it would be the former, not the latter, as far as the level of, quote, disappointment goes. But I think what Luke Fickell has done, what he's got in the pipeline, and you keep reading about 2024, 2025, more commits, higher star commits. I think a lot of people believe they're on the right path. But I think they're going to be in a Big Ten championship game this year. I just believe that. This final year, by the way, the final year before you get the induction of USC and UCLA, they will be in the Big Ten championship game. So there you go.
Got to take advantage of it. That's buy or sell. I want to make sure we have time to get to what we missed.
What did we miss today, by the way?
Well, I wrote down a couple of things. Something that jumped out to me, and I didn't want to interrupt at the time. Chuck Freeman said that Yelich isn't the type to break a bat after a strikeout, and he said, well, I'm not that kind of guy either. But then he kind of insinuated that you would be the type of guy to break a bat. So I wanted to ask you about, have you ever broken a microphone after a bad segment? Something like that?
Let's see here. I have thrown one golf club in my life, and I only threw it because I knew I was getting rid of it anyway. It is sitting at the bottom of the pond out at Western Lakes Golf Course, and I got rid of that. It was a driver that I knew I was going to be getting rid of, and I said to hell with it. And that was the last time I was going to, because I was going to go buy a new one anyway. I'd already decided. So that is sitting at the bottom of the lake in the middle of Western Lakes Golf Course. Chuck, however, has taken a hammer to bobbleheads.
Oh yeah,
in his home. Chuck has, I would assume, when he moved out, once him and Shannon decided to get the condo or get the house that they were building, that when they moved out, they're behind the couch, in the corners and cracks of the carpet. I'm assuming there was some pieces of bobblehead that were laying around. So I'm not a club thrower, a bat breaker. I have, however, I pounded the club into the ground. I have, back in the day, I mean, I've got pissed off and thrown weights. I've done that kind of stuff, but I've never broken a bat. And the only club that I ever really wailed was the one that I knew I was getting rid of. And now I have played with guys to the opposite side of Western Lakes. There is 2 or 3 clubs that I know are laying in the woods back there. My buddy Scotty wailed one time, and that's in the woods. And a buddy of mine missed, it had to be a 2-foot putt, missed a 2-foot putt. And that putter, I've never seen anything like one of those, those Scottish games where the caber toss, where they throw the poles. I've never seen anybody throw anything that big, that heavy, that far. He took one of those big ass square headed putters and whaled this thing. And it flew, it was off of a par 3 in the back 9. And he whaled that thing to where it flew out into the woods, and I really thought, as far as he threw it, it would be up on the road and might have hit a car. He wailed the hell out of it. So
hell has no fury like a man that misses a makeable putt for birdie.
2-foot putt, 2-foot putt on a flat surface, and you just pull it. There is nothing more aggravating and frustrating than that.
Also worth mentioning very quickly, and I sent you the link, the Vikings unveiled their classic throwback jerseys for this upcoming season. And I hate the Vikings as much as the next guy. I think these are pretty sharp. I'm a fan.
Yeah, I saw that come across. Anytime you go old school original, I like that. I'm not disagree. But the Vikings have not veered much. It's like the Packers. The Packers have not veered much from the original uniforms. I mean, granted, going back to the Acme Packers, yes. But the Vikings have not veered far back. So I'm all in favor of it. I don't mind it. I like throwbacks, man. I'm all for it. It's just another way for teams to make money. Packers do it all the time. I have one of those big, ugly-ass blue Notre Dame-looking Acme Packer jerseys. I got one of those years and years and years ago. That'll do it. Time for us to get out of here. A good day. We got a hump day tomorrow. Brewers coming up tonight. Game 1 in Philadelphia. I'll be sitting out back watching that thing. I'm sure you will be too. We'll talk about it coming up tomorrow morning on the program. Until then, time for us to go. Have a go.